a group prepares for an important mission in front of a large castle. Alec observes the team and realizes how much everyone has evolved. They organize themselves and announce that they are ready to move forward. The group is gathered in front of an army, determined not to let the enemy dominate the world. Alec makes it clear that he only wants to defeat the enemy and leads the team, showing the reason why everyone had returned for that battle. Toru Kuromine is in a hospital, sick since childhood and spending most of his time hospitalized. He was not able to properly attend high school and ended up dying at the age of 15 because of an illness. But something is about to change at that moment. After being reborn, Toru was raised by a simple couple and began to live as Gilly's brother, a boy of the same age. He also lives with Mira, an older girl who works on the family's farm. Everyone is excited to harvest fruits typical of the village. Toru realizes that this new world is the same as an RPG called War Chronicles of Desgard, which he used to play in his previous life. Toru discovers that he is in the world of Desgard, just like the RPG he played before. He realizes that he can change class when leveling up, and decides that his goal is to become a necromancer, a rare class. To do that, he first needs to reach level 10 as a worker, then become a dark mage, and only then reach level 50 to turn into a necromancer and use special abilities. Alec is helping with the village's tasks and talks to Mia's father, who thanks him for the help. They comment that soon Alec will begin to study magic, but for now, he still cannot use abilities. When they announce that lunch is almost ready, everyone happily says goodbye and agrees to meet the next day. Alec arrives home excited and calls for his grandfather, announcing that he has returned. The grandfather greets him with a smile, and Alec asks to leave his luggage before accompanying him on a visit. The grandfather agrees, showing that he is already used to his grandson's routine. The grandfather tells Alec to take a jacket, since it gets cold at night. Then, he tells him that there will be an assembly in the village after the visit, and Alec will take part in the meeting, even though he is only 5 years old. Alec is surprised, since usually only family representatives can go to that kind of gathering. Alec's grandfather is respected by everyone as the village's sage, taking on the roles of pharmacist, white mage, and chief. During the assembly, Alec watches his grandfather, who imposes respect and even a little fear in the other villagers, seeming almost like a demon with how serious he looks. At the assembly, the village chief begins by talking about the harvest festival. William was put in charge of the meat, while Tom will bring the vegetables. The women of the village will prepare the food. William is Gilly's father and an experienced hunter, while Tom is a farmer who takes care of the largest field in the region. Hans, the village merchant, was put in charge of getting the alcohol for the festival, and everyone celebrates because this year they managed to gather more than last year. At the festival, they raise funds by selling items produced by the villagers themselves, including magical tools made by Alec's grandfather, which were sold for a good value. The grandfather is especially excited this year, which catches Alec's attention. During the assembly, the village chief makes a prayer of thanks to the god of fertility, a tradition that Guile had carried out over the last 10 years. Now, he announces that Alec will be responsible for this prayer, starting this year, surprising the boy. The adults encourage Alec, and he understands the reason why he was called to the meeting. Alec accepts the responsibility of the prayer at the festival and promises to do his best, since he understands the importance of the role. After that, the meeting continues, and they begin discussing other matters of the village, including ways for the villagers to level up by helping with daily tasks. Alec keeps thinking that these activities may help him level up too. The next day, Alec appears wearing a special outfit for the festival, but the clothes are a bit too big for him. People compliment him, saying it looked good, even though it was not the ideal size. They comment that he will still grow a lot, so it is not worth adjusting it every time. Alec adjusts the outfit with a cord, making it firmer. The grandfather observes and thinks that Alec does not show strong emotions on his face, even in important situations. The children compliment him, saying Alec looks stylish and cute with the outfit, leaving him a little surprised and embarrassed. Alec dismisses the paper with the speech, saying he has already memorized everything and can be trusted. The grandfather comments that, if Alec forgets during the ceremony, there will be no second chance. Even so, Alec remains confident. The grandfather then reveals that Kane will also take part in the festival this year, surprising Alec. Alec is surprised to learn that Mr. Kane will visit the village again. The children become curious about the songs he will play this year. The grandfather explains that Kane is a traveling minstrel who has already been to several countries, so he can bring news and information from outside. Alec thinks that maybe Kane knows something about other people reincarnated in this world. Alec is dismissed from the speech rehearsal and can take the special outfit home. While taking off the costume, a girl approaches him, a bit shy, and asks if he has free time later. Alec answers yes, without really understanding the reason for the invitation. Gilly becomes nervous and quiet when thinking about Mia, finding her pretty and kind. He begins to imagine that Alec must think the same. Mia, a little embarrassed, looks for help from the adults, while the situation becomes a little awkward among the children. The grandfather apologizes for not being able to support Gilly, but the boy answers that it is all right, since Mia also seems happy. Gilly comments that Alec is special, showing that he understands his importance in the village. They end the conversation excited for the harvest festival that will happen the next day. Mia asks Alec to promise that, after the speech at the harvest festival, they can talk alone. Alec agrees without a problem and promises to fulfill it, while Mia becomes happy for his agreement, reinforcing that now he cannot go back on his word. After walking together, Mia thanks Alec for his company and says goodbye, saying that she can return alone. Alec watches her leave and thinks that Mia is an important girl for him, besides being honest and intelligent, imagining that she will become even more beautiful in the future. Alec looks at the horizon and thinks about his greatest desire: to leave the village, live adventures, and see the world with his own body. He wants to be an adventurer and experience everything he could not in his past life. Alec thinks that, upon turning 10 years old, he will be able to become an adventurer and leave the village to increase his level until becoming a necromancer. He admits that he likes Mia, but knows that he cannot take her with him. Besides that, he remembers the war events in the game called Siege Battle and becomes worried about what may happen in the future. Alec walks thoughtfully, thinking about how long peace between the countries will last, since there have not been any wars yet. The grandfather calls his attention, warning him to be careful not to bump into something while walking distracted. Alec then realizes that he is already near home. The grandfather notices that Alec is thoughtful and asks if he is worried about something, but Alec avoids answering. The grandfather comments that children grow up fast and jokes, asking if Alec will go pick up Kane the next day. Alec becomes embarrassed with the conversation and asks his grandfather to stop teasing him, while the grandfather laughs and tells Alec to go to sleep. At the beginning of the harvest festival, Gilly and Mia are delighted with a special dish made by Alec. He prepared hamburgers using knowledge from his past life, and everyone finds the result delicious, even though they could only taste a piece each. Alec is satisfied for being able to please his friends. Alec prepares bread to surprise Kane, who is arriving in the village. He always tries to make something new every year, but Kane seems to recognize the taste, showing that he has a lot of experience. Even so, Alec is happy because the bread turned out well, and his friends comment that he has become great in the kitchen thanks to this dedication. Alec suggests putting the hamburger in the bread he prepared, but when he realizes it, Gilly and Mia have already eaten everything because it was so tasty. Alec pretends to be mad, but ends up laughing, saying that now he will have to prepare everything again from scratch, even though he is happy that they enjoyed it. The children decide to prepare a welcome drink using fruits from the village. While having fun, they see Kane arriving accompanied by another person, which draws their attention and makes them curious about who the new visitor island. Kane arrives cheerful, thanking for the reception. Accompanied by a warrior, the children immediately ask if she is his girlfriend, but the answer is negative. Kane explains that she is like a bodyguard, since he cannot deal with monsters alone. They came together because something interesting caught their attention in the village. Kane also comments on how the children have grown since the last visit. Abby introduces herself as a lone swordswoman and makes a joke saying that she would not mind being Kane's girlfriend. The children ask about Kane's travels and about the world outside the village. Kane explains that Atlantis, in the east, is at peace, and the kingdom of Hida, in the north, remains the same as always. Kane explains that the country of Holy Light, in the west, is doing well, and that the Kars Empire is increasing metal production. Alec, curious, asks where they think the Kars Empire might attack, leaving Abby surprised with the direct question. Kane answers that the Kars Empire will probably attack Atlantis, because the military power there is weaker. Afterwards, it may be the kingdom of Pendragon, depending on whether they will interfere or not. Alec understands that the situation may turn into war at any moment, and even Kane, well informed, thinks the same way. Alec thinks about the dangers that may appear, such as battles against bosses, and wants to start training magic soon to prepare himself. He remembers that he was reincarnated and does not want to die without doing anything this time. Mia notices that Alec became thoughtful and asks if he is all right, and he answers that he is, trying to hide his worries. Alec prepares a special welcome drink with an original fruit mix, excited to surprise everyone. Abby and Kane are impressed with the taste and with Alec's knowledge, since he is only 5 years old. They praise the drink, saying that it even resembles drinks from the capital. During the harvest festival, the villagers gather around the bonfire. Alec, dressed for the ceremony, leads the traditional prayer, throwing offerings into the fire while everyone watches in silence and respect. After the ceremony, everyone applauds Alec, recognizing his performance in the ritual. Mia calls Alec excitedly, saying that he was amazing and did not even look like it was his first time doing that. Alec arrives a little late because he was held up talking to the adults, but he thanks Mia for the compliment. After the festival, Mia becomes serious and asks Alec if he intends to leave the village when he grows up, showing that she is worried about their future and the fear of a possible farewell. Alec confirms to Mia that he wants to travel the world when he grows up. Mia already expected that answer, and even though she looks a little sad, says that she believes Alec will do very well outside the village, showing support even while feeling the weight of a possible goodbye. Mia asks if she can go with Alec when he leaves the village, but becomes nervous because she does not want to be a burden. She says she is afraid of being left behind, even knowing about the dangers outside the village and the risk of bad people. Alec realizes that she does not want to be left alone. Alec is surprised to find out that Mia will learn white magic with the sage next year, and she says she just had not mentioned it before. Mia believes that, being taught by him, she can become strong enough to travel. In the end, she extends her hand, suggesting that she wants to go together with Alec. Mia extends her hand to Alec and asks him to take her along, saying that she wants to see the world outside the village by his side. Alec is surprised by the request while looking at her. The scene ends, showing Alec thoughtful, staring at the landscape beyond the village. Alec thinks that it is not only him who wants to see the world, but also Mia, who has lived so long in the village. Mia, nervous, and with her hand trembling, extends her hand to him. Alec begins to question himself if, until now, he only saw people as characters in a game. While the party goes on, Abby laughs to herself and makes the group a little uncomfortable, but soon apologizes. Everyone seems fine, enjoying the food, the village atmosphere, and the alcohol. Alec and Mia hold hands and he thinks that this place really was a good village. After a year, Alec is already training dark magic. The grandfather, all prepared, asks Alec to begin. A bit nervous, Alec concentrates and gets ready to cast the spell. Alec casts a fire spell, but ends up hitting the grandfather, who manages to protect himself. Even so, the grandfather praises Alec's aim, but warns that he still has much to train until he can master the 4 elements. Alec trains to master the 4 basic attributes of magic: fire, water, wind, and earth. He manages to cast 2 magic arrows, showing progress. The grandfather suggests increasing to 5 arrows and warns that in the afternoon they will train white magic. To help with recovery, he gives a special mana potion, saying that Alec can continue training without a break. Alec spends half the day training magic, achieving good progress, and impressing Mia. The old man notices that Alec's magical power is already strong enough to defeat a goblin with just 1 attack. Even so, Alec feels the fatigue, since he is training black magic in the morning, white in the afternoon, and still studies to be a pharmacist at night. Alec comments that he hasn't seen Gilly lately, and Mia hasn't either. The grandfather explains that William, Gilly's father, is teaching his son to hunt. William is an experienced hunter. He has even defeated an entire pack of wolves alone. Alec realizes that since the last harvest festival, the relationship with Gilly has gotten a little strange, as if he had taken someone important from him. Alec feels a bit sad because he hasn't been talking to Gilly like before, but the grandfather says not to worry, since if they get stronger, they can form a party together again. The grandfather tells Alec to focus on his own training for now, because Gilly is also making an effort. Afterwards, Alec heads to the special pharmacist training, wondering if there is any teacher giving special attention to Gilly too. The grandfather calls Alec and gives him a gift, a book with various recipes and notes about pharmacy. He says he wrote everything he knows there, as a gift to help Alec on the path to becoming a pharmacist. Alec is surprised and thanks him, seeing that there are several recipes, tips, and substitute materials in the book. Alec feels awkward about accepting the notebook, saying that he still doesn't have enough training. The grandfather says that he already knows all the recipes by heart, so he no longer needs the notebook but makes a request. He wants Alec to use everything that is there to help the world. He says he considers that notebook like a son, just as he considers Alec, and therefore wants all the knowledge there to be useful to other people. Alec is surprised and asks if that was really all, and the grandfather confirms. He says that now he can depart in peace, without regrets. Alec gets emotional but tries to hide it. The grandfather asks him to take care of himself and keep learning until he becomes an adult. Alec, a bit sad, thinks that his pharmacist level did not go up that day. Alec remembers that now, without a doubt, he has become the old man's disciple. After 3 months, he is training in the forest, but complains that there is little prey to hunt that day. He notices a different path in the forest and becomes curious, wondering if that path had always existed there. His levels are already quite high: Dark Mage level 12, White Mage level 10, and Pharmacist level 9. Alec finds a strange pile of leaves on the new path in the forest. He approaches, notices something different there, and sees an old shoe in the middle of the leaves. At first he thinks someone threw it away, but soon realizes that they are not just shoes tossed there. Alec is startled when a person appears in the middle of the leaves. He sees that it is an elf with pointed ears, who is calm, and says she just took off her shoes while sleeping. Alec is surprised, and wonders why there is someone in the middle of the forest. He observes the elf, who is very relaxed, even yawning with sleepiness. The elf introduces herself as Lily Enthal, and thanks Alec for having helped, saying that she was starving. Alec replies saying that he is from Kettle Village, and is surprised when Lily repeats the name of the village. Alec asks if Lily knows his grandfather, and she answers that it has been 30 years since the last time she saw him, commenting that now it makes sense to call him Grandpa. Next, Alec asks if she is an elf, and Lily confirms, saying that despite her appearance, she has already lived for more than 200 years. Alec is impressed. Alec gets excited to see a real elf in front of him and feels that she has a mysterious air. Lily says she needs to greet Gale and asks Alec to guide her to the village. He accepts right away. She asks whether they prefer to run for an hour or walk for 3 hours to get there. Lily worries, saying that the path has orcs and would not be safe for a child. But Alec shows his skill with magic and uses a wind slash. Lily realizes that Alec is not an ordinary human, but he plays it off by saying that he is just the grandfather's disciple. Then, he points out a shortcut for her. Alec arrives home and finds Lily, who came along. Inside, Alec's grandfather is sitting with some children. Mia appears, warning that her mother is feeling unwell. Alec immediately realizes that the visitor is Mia's mother and asks if something happened. Mia's mother reveals to everyone that she is pregnant, leaving everyone surprised and happy. The baby should be born in a little over half a year. She says she will be fine when Mia goes away with Alec in the future, because she will have another child to take care of, and will not feel alone. Mia feels a little awkward with that talk, but her mother smiles calmly. Alec realizes that soon the whole village will know the news. Mia apologizes for having told everything to her mother. Lily appears at the door, asking if she can come in now. Gale, the grandfather, sees Lily and is surprised to meet her again after so long, saying that it had been years since the last time they saw each other. Lily says that since the last time they met, she became the Lady of the Forest, and even reached level 38, showing her pride. Alec finds it impressive, and Gale explains that this is an advanced mage job, but only available to elves who can be candidates for queen. Alec comments that he did not know that this position existed, since in the game only elven queen characters appeared as NPCs. Lily asks how Gale's progress island. He replies that, as a sage, he has already reached level 50, which is the maximum. Lily is shocked and complains, saying she doesn't like geniuses and makes a joke, wishing that he goes bald. Alec and Mia find her a very interesting person, while Gale just laughs, saying that Lily is still the same. Gale asks Lily to train the village children. She asks why he is asking that of her. Alec appears saying that he saw her wandering through the forest, and Gale adds that, since she is not going back to her village for a while, he would like her to teach Alec to fight in a group. Lily accepts the request to be a teacher. Alec asks if that means she will be their new teacher. Gale comments that he is not particularly malicious. Lily says that Alec is kind, because he gave her food, unlike Gale, who only complains. Then she asks what Alec's current level is, and he answers that he is Dark Mage level 12, White Mage level 10, and Pharmacist level 9. A few days later, Alec, Gilly, and Mia walk together. It has been a while since the three have been together like this. They talk about the training they will have with Lily, and Mia hopes it will be easy. Alec does not know how it will be, and Gilly comments that he is training with William to be a hunter. The mood gets a bit awkward until they see Lily arriving. The group comes across a giant golem created by Lily. Alec realizes the danger and says that they need to win, since they cannot slip up in their first fight together as a group. Gilly tries to reassure them by saying that he has already faced high-rank monsters before, but he is nervous. Lily watches and says that she made the golem to test what they can do as a team, making it clear that a direct hit would be fatal. The group begins the battle against the golem. Alec organizes the team and asks Gilly to focus on the golem's feet while he provides cover using agility magic. The other two are responsible for support. Gilly accepts the plan and sets out to attack, showing that they are acting well as a team right at the start of the fight. Alec uses a trap magic to bring the golem down, remembering that he has already faced this kind of enemy several times in games. Meanwhile, Gilly lands a strong attack on the golem, focusing on the strategy they agreed on. Gilly's attack was not strong enough to pierce the golem, but Alec says it is alright. He casts a wall of fire to hold the enemy back and protect the group. The golem is split into several parts, making the fight difficult. Alec asks the group to keep their distance and attack from afar. Gilly uses bow and arrow to control the enemies, while Alec uses magic to attack from a distance. Mia gives support to the two during the battle. The group is managing to do well against the golem. Alec casts a fire shot and destroys more parts of the monster, surprising Lily with the strength of the attack. The group realizes that they have defeated the golem and celebrates together. Mia and Alec thank Gilly for the help. Lily watches from afar and thinks that she wanted to have landed the finishing blow to show off. But in the end, Alec ended up defeating the monster first. Lily praises the group, saying that everyone did very well and promises to prepare a stronger enemy next time. The children get excited, confident that they can overcome any challenge together. Thus, their training with Lily officially begins. Lily appears enjoying the local foods and praises Alec's cooking, who proves to be talented even in that. Gale asks her to keep staying longer to help take care of the village children during the training. She accepts, even more so seeing that everyone collaborates, from the bread made by Mia's mother to the game brought by Gilly's father. During dinner, Lily comments that she can stay a few more years, as long as she returns home within a decade. Gale is relieved by the answer. Lily observes that Alec has great talent and may become a sage soon, also highlighting that Mia and Gilly are progressing a lot thanks to his leadership. She recognizes that Alec, being Gale's grandson, is truly extraordinary. Lily comments that Alec can change class next year, but stresses that becoming a sage at 15 is something abnormal. Gale notes that there are sages who achieved that at that age. Alec reflects that he managed to quickly evolve his black and white magics, reaching the necessary level in just 3 months to try to follow the path of sage. During the meal, Alec thinks about following the necromancer path, but questions whether his grandfather wants him to become a sage. He comments that he wants to learn more about the elves, and Lily decides to tell a bit about her village. She describes the place as a quiet site in the forest, where there is a huge world tree. Lily explains that it is the duty of the elves to live close to and protect the world tree, from which all elves originate. Alec shows interest in visiting the place, but she clarifies that only elves can enter, unless someone is needed to protect the tree. She also comments that in 10 years the next generation of queens will be trained and chosen, but leaves it in the air that there may be a possibility for Alec. Lily explains that the selection and training of a queen take about 20 years, but that if she is chosen, she will be able to invite people to the village. Alec is surprised by the time required, but he understands. Meanwhile, the doubt arises as to whether Alec's grandfather would be worried about the choice of the new queen. At night, someone knocks on the door, drawing the attention of Alec and the grandfather. A man enters in a hurry and reveals that he found a wyvern in the forest to the north, leaving Alec surprised by the news. A wyvern is shown, an intermediate creature with wings similar to those of a dragon. The man explains that it is difficult to face it alone, asking for help from the elder or the village chief. He says that the monster does not use magic but is resistant to fire and wind, besides having paralytic poison in its tail. To defeat it, a group would be necessary since beginners could not deal with the threat alone. Alec thinks that it would be a relief to count on Mayor Billy, who seems to be an experienced swordsman, or on his grandfather, who has a lot of wisdom. The elder, however, explains that the forest to the north is very distant and difficult to reach, making it impossible for him to go. The hunter understands and says that he will ask the mayor for help, but at that moment, Lily interrupts him, asking him to wait. Lily interrupts and says she arrived at the right time for the mission against the wyvern. The elder thanks her, but she states that she will not be the one to fight. To Alec's surprise, Lily declares that he will face the creature along with Mia and Gilly, while she will only observe from behind. Alec is shocked by the revelation. Alec is startled to hear that only he, Mia, and Gilly will face the wyvern, finding the idea risky. Mia gets nervous and asks if it will be just them, while Gilly considers it imprudent. Alec points out that Lily has already obtained the adult's permission, and the elder comments that Mia and Gilly are already at level 16, being able to be considered a mid-rank team. The elder decides to approve the wyvern subjugation, stating that if Lily goes along, everything will be alright. Alec reflects on the reason for being called a mid-rank group, realizing that despite being beginner mages and hunters, the general level of this world is low. He understands that they could only really be considered mid if they switched to advanced classes. Even so, Mia gets excited, seeing this as a good chance to test her skills, since Lily will be accompanying them. Mia remembers that, to be recognized, they need to be capable of defeating something as strong as a wyvern, and reinforces that Alec will leave the village at 15 years old. The next day, Alec gathers the group to discuss strategies against the monster, reviewing its characteristics and weaknesses until Lily appears and joins them. Lily guides the group to the area where the wyvern is, asking for silence so as not to attract the creature. Alec, excited and nervous, thinks about how his first subjugation will be. He comments that his grandfather promised to forge equipment using the wyvern's materials, which makes him even more motivated, while Lily watches him surprised by his enthusiasm. Lily warns the group to stay focused, since they can easily get hurt. Alec reflects that in that world, dying would mean the end, so he needed to prepare. Determined, Mia and Gilly confirm that they are ready and move on together, while Alec concentrates on what is to come. The group finds the wyvern asleep and notices the creature's imposing size. Alec prepares to lead the attack, planning to keep the monster occupied from the front, while Gilly would attack from behind. Agreed, they decide to follow the strategy with confidence, despite the tension of the moment. Alec observes the wyvern's position and decides that they need to keep the creature away from Gilly so that he can attack safely. Meanwhile, Mia remains hidden, nervous but attentive, waiting for the right moment to act. Alec casts a lightning spell against the wyvern, hitting it and drawing its attention. With determination, he prepares to face the creature head-on, challenging it to battle. Gilly and Mia watch intently from behind the trees, while the wyvern takes to the sky in fury after being hit. Alec remains firm, staring at the creature that now glares back at him with hostility, ready to strike. Alec casts a powerful fire spell against the wyvern, while Gilly fires accurate arrows in sequence. The attack hits, but Alec realizes that the creature's scales are tough and that the ideal would be to aim at the abdomen. Gilly fires his electric attack at the wyvern, but the creature resists and charges at Alec. Quickly, he summons a magic barrier to protect himself and draw the monster's attention to him, keeping the confrontation under control. Alec organizes the strategy, leaving the support magic with Mia, who is responsible for strengthening and protecting the group. He warns that the wyvern's tail has paralytic poison and asks her to be ready with healing magic. Meanwhile, the creature lets out a threatening roar, preparing its next attack. The wyvern lunges through the air at Alec, but he reacts quickly by launching a gust of wind that throws it off balance. Gilly takes the opening and fires accurate arrows, hitting the monster. Alec observes the result, satisfied with the course of the fight so far. Alec assesses that the combat is dragging on, but that weakening the wyvern little by little was the best strategy. However, the monster changes direction and charges at Mia, leaving Alec alarmed as he perceives the imminent danger. A second wyvern appears in the sky, responding to the first one's call. Alec realizes that the previous roar was probably a warning to its companion. At that moment, Lily steps in and uses her powerful magic to contain the new threat. Lily manages to defeat the enemy before the paralytic poison takes full effect, but soon collapses weakened, feeling the poison spread quickly. Alec despairs and asks Mia to use antidote magic on her, calling her urgently. Alec realizes that Lily can no longer hear his voice, and that, if he does not act fast, she will die. He struggles to remember the right spell and decides that he needs to heal her immediately. Meanwhile, he asks Gilly to hold the wyvern off if it comes back, since the situation could become even more dangerous. During the fight against the wyvern, Gilly ends up being severely struck on the arm by the creature's claws. Alec goes into shock upon seeing his friend wounded, calling out desperately for him, while the beast's attack makes the situation even more critical. Alec casts another wind spell at the wyvern, but the attack fails, and the creature keeps advancing. Faced with the danger, he finds himself in despair. Both Lily, weakened by the poison, and Gilly, gravely injured, need immediate help. Not knowing whom to save first, Alec is seized by doubt and the weight of responsibility. Alec looks distressed at Lily lying there, but realizes that, although she cannot move, she can still use magic. Decided, he resolves to run to Gilly to help him, while the wyvern remains before them, ready to attack. Alec realizes that he does not have much time and activates the dual magic technique, amplifying the effect of his spells. With determination, he casts a quick sequence of spells: haste, airburst, and lightning bolt, striking the wyvern with all the built-up power. Alec feels the fatigue after using dual magic and realizes that he has only one potion left. Determined, he decides that he cannot fail. He casts the Ice Lance spell, striking the wyvern's wings and preventing it from flying, while reinforcing with Bind to immobilize it. Alec realizes that this is the crucial moment and maintains the containment spell on the wyvern, even with difficulty. Then he uses Pitfall, making the monster plunge into a trap on the ground. Alec casts several ice lances at the wyvern, trying to seize every opportunity. However, he realizes that the effect of dual magic has already ended, and despite the exhaustion, he continues attacking non-stop, knowing that he cannot afford to back down. Alec, already exhausted, begins to lose his vision while trying to continue the fight. The wyvern has not yet been defeated and advances on him. Desperate, Alec wonders if he is going to die there, feeling the weight of the battle while the enemy presses on. The wyvern opens its mouth to attack Alec, who, seized by fear, thinks that he does not want to die. At that moment, memories of his friends give him strength, and he gathers the courage to cast one more powerful lightning bolt directly at the creature. Alec, even wounded and exhausted, thinks that he will not let the wyvern kill his friends. Determined, he faces the beast, which charges with full force. While he gathers the rest of his courage to hold out, The wyvern grabs an unconscious Alec, but Lily intervenes and realizes that he only fainted. Right after, Mia, who was hiding, is called by Lily, who reassures her by saying that now it was alright to come out. Mia, crying, agrees to heal Gilly while Lily asks for her help. Lily recognizes that Alec defeated the wyvern alone, even though her intention was only to buy time until she recovered from the poison. She reflects that she could have waited for the effect to pass naturally, but sees how much Alec exceeded expectations. Mia and Gilly say that Alec did not need to push himself so much, as they could have returned later, but they acknowledge that he is a genius at creating strategies despite the lack of experience. Lily thinks that Gale could teach him better, but realizes that, unintentionally, she began to rely too much on Alec. Lily remembers having been entrusted with a great responsibility and decides that she has no choice but to try her hardest. She promises to train her disciples in her own way, helping to form the next generation of heroes, while she appears alongside Alec, Mia, and Gilly. 1 year after the wyvern subjugation, Lily prepares to leave Kettle Village and continue her journey to become a candidate for Elven Queen. Alec runs to her, asking her to wait, but Lily says that everything is fine now, since he has reached an advanced level job. Lily says goodbye to Alec, promising to come back to visit, even though he may already have left the village by then. Alec agrees and watches her depart. Afterwards, he reflects on his progress. Besides having become a sage, he also obtained the alchemist class, continuing to receive lessons in magic and pharmacy from his grandfather. Alec celebrates upon managing to prepare a mixture without impurities, receiving his grandfather's approval, who encourages him to use his skills to create practical medicines. Right after, they remember that it is Harvest Festival season and that there is a meeting scheduled at the mayor's house at 6 p.m. The grandfather shows that he is a little tired, but even so, prepares to go. Alec's grandfather apologizes for not being able to go and asks his grandson to go to the meeting alone. Alec agrees, and the grandfather thanks him before going to rest. Then, Alec arrives at the place where several residents are already gathered around a table, ready for the festival discussion. Alec returns home and tells his grandfather that he has arrived. He says that at the meeting, they decided the responsibilities and the festival budget as usual. The grandfather asks how it went, and Alec comments that Mr. Kane will also come this year. Then, he thinks about Zoli and Glan becoming adventurers in the royal capital and is impressed by it. The grandfather, in turn, reflects that he will have to prepare something again. Alec comments excitedly that he met Gilly and Mia on the way home and begins to talk about the plans for the next day. However, upon entering the room, he notices something strange and falls silent, surprised to notice the presence of someone unexpected. Alec approaches the bed and calls for his grandfather but receives no answer. Outside, the night goes on silent, lit only by the crescent moon, while light footsteps sound among the trees, increasing the tension of the moment. At the cemetery, everyone gathers before Gale's grave, marked with the inscription of Eternal Hero. Alec cannot hold back his tears, wiping his face as he faces the headstone. The memories weigh, and the pain of farewell is evident in his eyes full of sadness. In front of the grave, Alec receives a tight hug from Mia, who tries to comfort him amid the pain. Soon after, she sits beside him, showing her silent support. Gilly watches closely, and another boy approaches, drawing attention by saying, "Hey," bringing a momentary pause to the sadness. Gilly reminds Alec that his mother prepared dinner, and that he probably had not eaten anything yet. Alec, dejected, accepts and says to go eat. The three then head together toward the village, trying to regain a bit of normality after the morning. 7 years pass since the battle against the wyvern. Alec is now about to turn 15 inches 3 months. In that time, he already appears more mature, dedicated to his studies and practices, preparing for the future while the village routine goes on normally. At 14 years old, Alec finishes another of his tasks, producing potions and completing his daily quota. Proud of the progress, he celebrates the result. Meanwhile, someone knocks at the door, calling for him, interrupting his concentration. Mia, now 15 years old, appears bringing lunch and calling Alec to eat. He thanks her and asks for a moment, while she offers to set the table. Mia asks Alec if he finished the work, and he answers that he was just wrapping up. She reminds him that there are 3 months left until the trip, and suggests they start the preparations. Alec explains that he will take care of the equipment and use a magic bag, asking her to only bring extra clothes. Alec comments that he can produce almost everything with his alchemy, but he may need to buy some things later. Mia praises him and thinks that maybe she should have become an alchemist too, but Alec explains that it would take too long if she started now. Soon, he asks about Anna's training progress, and Mia excitedly confirms that it is going well. Alec introduces Anna, Mia's younger sister, a little 7-year-old girl who has already learned to use healing magic, showing remarkable talent for her age. Despite resembling Mia, Anna shows that she does not like him and even asks Alec not to take her sister on the trip. Alec reflects that maybe he and Mia stood out too much when they were the same age. Gilly, now 14 years old and level 42 as a hunter, visits Alec at his house. He arrives accompanied by a guest and apologizes for interrupting at a busy moment. Alec, curious, asks who the person Gilly brought island. A commanding woman appears at the door along with two companions, accompanied by Gilly. Alec, surprised and not understanding the situation, gets nervous and asks who she island. One of the newcomers asks if that is Sage Gale's house, and Alec confirms, but is confused by the situation. The woman smiles in relief and asks permission to interrupt for a moment. Alec, still surprised, comments that he does not usually receive visitors often. Alec apologizes for not being able to offer much hospitality, but the visitor replies that it is not a problem. Soon after, she asks about Gale's whereabouts. Alec then reveals that his grandfather passed away 7 years ago, leaving the visitors surprised by the news. The visitors ask who succeeded Gale, but Alec explains that he never heard of a disciple or successor. He says that he took over as a pharmacist. Next, they question Gale's equipment, but Alec answers that he cremated the staff and the cloak along with him at the funeral. Meanwhile, Alec begins to find it strange what exactly they are looking for. The knight gets worked up upon learning that Gale's equipment was burned, but the woman scolds him and apologizes for his behavior. She concludes that Gale is no longer present, and that the equipment also cannot be recovered, which worries her. Alec just watches, not fully understanding the situation. Alec introduces himself politely, asking the visitors' names, but they say they cannot reveal them. The woman then makes a direct proposal. She asks if Alec would like to work for her. He refuses, explaining that in 3 months he will leave on a trip and could not take on any commitment during that time. The visitor thanks Alec for the hospitality and says they need to leave, regretting that he cannot work with them. Before going, she extends her hand and suggests that if there is an opportunity in the future, they might meet again. Alec and the warrior accompanying her are surprised by the unexpected gesture of the handshake. Alec is surprised by the handshake, but the woman simply says goodbye with a polite smile and leaves with her group. He watches as they move away, still intrigued. Gilly then appears, calling for Alec, and comments that besides the attendant, that woman was accompanied by 3 other knights, raising even more suspicion about her identity. Alec notes that there were 4 knights in total, 2 at the village entrance and 2 others near his house. He reflects that knights are an advanced class and rare to encounter, usually linked to the royal family of Pendragon. Remembering the woman's posture and presence, he concludes that she certainly was part of the royalty. Alec talks with Gilly about the unexpected visit. He explains that the visitors seem to be looking for his grandfather, but since he is no longer present, it was not clear what they really wanted. Alec decides that it would be better to report what happened to Mayor Billy and act with caution. Gilly, in turn, takes responsibility for security, stating that he will inform his father first. Alec observes how much Gilly has changed, noting that his posture and atmosphere increasingly resemble his father's, since he has been trained by him for years. Even so, Alec is still not used to this change. Before Gilly leaves, Alec offers him a pie he had made the day before, showing care and friendship in the gesture. Mia asks if the visitors have already left, and Alec confirms, while Gilly thanks him for the pie he received. Alec realizes that, despite the changes, Gilly still keeps much of his former essence. Elsewhere, a serious conversation arises where someone comments, surprised, that the Golden Princess made a move. A subordinate reports that the Golden Princess sought help from the kingdom's retired sage, but reveals that he is already dead. Surprised, the superior asks if that is true, and the man confirms that the sage, who had protected the Pendragon kingdom for so many years, has indeed passed away. The masked man bursts into laughter upon learning of the sage's death, calling the princess cautious and suspecting what she might have prepared in the sage's village. The subordinate, serious, asks how they should proceed in the face of this situation. The masked man gives his order with a dark gaze: destroy everything related to the sage's legacy and the princess's plans until nothing remains. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to the village, where the residents' daily life goes on normally, unaware of the danger approaching. Alec finishes his morning, gathering in the forest, and decides to return to the village, already thinking about lunch at Mia's house. His current level in various classes is shown, highlighting his rapid growth. Meanwhile, Mia notices his absence and calls out to him excitedly. In another scene, the mysterious woman who visited him earlier reflects that it has already been a week since that meeting and feels that something important is about to happen. Alec realizes that something strange is happening since the animals around are agitated and acting unusually. Feeling that something is not right, he activates his speed magic and runs toward the village. With a bad feeling in his chest, he fears that something serious is about to happen. Alec decides to drop his things at home to check the village situation, but upon arriving, he finds knights and a hooded man in front of his door. The atmosphere becomes tense when the stranger asks directly if they have any business at his house, making it clear that something suspicious is going on. The knights and the hooded man notice Alec approaching and soon question whether he is a resident of that house. One of them comments on the equipment he carries, hinting that it may be a farewell gift from the sage. Alec, serious, asks for a direct answer, showing distrust in the visitor's suspicious attitude. The knights try to play it off, saying they were just passing through, but Alec does not believe it and immediately casts his magic, conjuring icicle lance against them to prevent any suspicious movement. The knights are struck by Alec's attacks, one of them screaming in pain as he is wounded in the leg. The hooded man realizes that Alec has an affinity with ice and is still capable of using dark magic beyond the basic attributes, concluding that he could only be a disciple of the former sage. The enemy decides to fight seriously and performs a powerful summoning, bringing a griffin into the battle. Alec watches in surprise, realizing that his opponent is a summoner. The griffin charges at Alec, proving to be a dangerous enemy. Alec reacts quickly and raises a flame barrier, creating a wall of fire to contain the creature's attack. The enemy casts a water storm to strengthen the griffin, putting Alec at a disadvantage. He realizes that facing a summoner is like fighting two enemies at the same time, the monster on the front line and the mage giving support behind. Alec and the enemy cast the same lightning spell at the same time, but the opponent's power is greater and prevails. Alec realizes that the adversary's level in dark magic is higher than his, which further increases the difficulty of the fight. The enemy, seeing that Alec was holding up well in the confrontation, decides to increase the pressure and casts a new magic, releasing a cloud of poison. Alec perceives the danger and reacts quickly, trying to move away before being hit by the toxic effects. The griffin advances to attack Alec with its claws, but the boy reacts quickly, raising the staff and casting a lightning spell. The lightning bolt hits the creature squarely, making it scream in pain as its body is electrocuted. The summoner watches, confused, what happened to the griffin, not understanding. Alec, even poisoned, uses his magic to heal himself. He realizes that he is at a disadvantage, both in number and in strength, and thinks that if he wants any chance to win, he will have to go all out at that moment. Alec realizes that the enemy still believes he is only a dark mage. Taking advantage of this edge, he activates mental reinforcement magic and remembers that he can also use white and sage magic. With that, he had already cured the poison and strengthened his willpower. Determined, he faces the summoner head-on, making it clear not to be underestimated. The opponent, surprised, decides to launch his next attack to test Alec. The enemy unleashes a powerful firestorm against Alec. He feels the pressure of the flames, but quickly raises a magic barrier to protect himself, withstanding the impact of the devastating attack. Alec, gravely injured, activates his dual magic and casts healing spells to treat his wounds. Despite managing to recover partially, the extreme effort leaves him exhausted, barely able to remain standing. Alec, exhausted and wounded, can barely stay on his feet. The enemy points out that this is the difference between combat experience and mere raw power. Then, the griffin receives the order to deliver the finishing blow against him. Alec manages to bind the griffin with a restriction spell, buying time. The enemy, irritated, orders him to stop resisting and launches a powerful wall of fire against him, while Alec sets off running to attack. Alec passes through the wall of fire protected by his magic and charges straight at the enemy. The man is surprised to realize that he withstood the flames, but it is already too late, as Alec appears with determination ready to attack head-on. Alec takes the opening and conjures his ice magic, launching several ice lances at the enemy. The man is shocked and cannot react in time, being struck by the accurate attack. The enemy is pierced by Alec's ice lances, screaming in pain as his body is grievously wounded. Without strength to resist, he falls to the ground, defeated. Alec, breathless after the fight, heals his own wounds with recovery magic. The enemy, surprised to see his injuries closing, realizes the truth. Alec then firmly reveals that he is a sage, leaving the adversary shocked. The fallen knights are on the ground, while the wounded enemy laughs, saying that the outcome exceeded his expectations. Alec stares seriously and asks what the real reason was for going to his house. The man reveals that they were after Sage Gale's legacy, leaving Alec surprised by the revelation. Alec discovers that the true target of the invaders was the Sage's Stone, an exclusive item used to learn extra skills. He remembers that to obtain it, it would be necessary to defeat a raid boss, since it is a rare artifact that unlocks essential quests to acquire new techniques. Thinking about his grandfather's belongings, Alec wonders whether among them there really was something like that. The wounded enemy begins to rave about the true power of the sage's stone, saying that whoever possesses it will have the knowledge to rule the world and unravel the hidden truth. Alec, confused, questions whether that made sense, since the man would not be able to use it, being only a summoner. This raises the doubt whether there was someone else behind it, someone who truly wished to use the stone. The adversary, in an enigmatic tone, hints that Alec should be worried about another place, suggesting that something serious was happening in the village. The enemy suggests that Alec look in the direction of the village. Frightened, he quickly turns and notices smoke rising on the horizon. His face fills with shock and concern, realizing that something terrible may be happening to the place where he lives. Alec, surprised, asks if the enemy was after the sage's stone, but the man reveals that this was only a secondary objective. Their true purpose was the princess, linked to Her Highness's plans. Alec is shocked to hear the princess's name, while the enemy makes it clear that they cannot allow anyone to hinder their activities. The enemy states that if the princess planted a seed, they should also destroy the soil where it was planted. Alec, furious, grabs the man by the clothes, outraged by the cruelty, and says that even if it were only a 1 in a million chance, that should have been stopped from the beginning. The enemy, even wounded, pulls a mysterious scroll from his clothes. Alec is surprised and asks what he intends to do. The man reveals that he will retreat for now, but promises that one day he will have his revenge against Alec, disappearing right after. Alec realizes that the enemy used a teleportation scroll and tries to stop him, but it was already too late. He grows irritated upon understanding that the man will be able to return whenever he wants. Next, Alec finds himself alone before the battle marks left at the site. Alec realizes that the entire conversation from the enemy served only to buy time and free the griffin from his magic. Soon after, he understands that the man killed his own subordinates to silence them. Without wasting time, Alec decides to leave the scene and run toward the village. The village is in flames and Alec runs in despair, thinking of Mia. Meanwhile, Mia appears determined, holding her staff firmly, ready to act amid the chaos and destruction. Alec approaches the village and comes across a desperate scene. Houses in flames, soldiers attacking residents, and chaos taking over everything. He observes the destruction before him, feeling the weight of the situation. Alec enters the village and sees fallen bodies and enemy soldiers scattered among the flames. Shocked by the destruction, he wonders what happened there. Suddenly, one of the soldiers notices his presence and stares at him, calling him a survivor. Alec is attacked by an enemy soldier, but reacts quickly by casting a lightning spell that brings him down. Breathless, he thinks of Gilly and calls for Mia, running desperately through the village's destroyed streets in search of his friends. Alec runs through the destroyed village and finds several bodies of fallen knights along the way, not understanding what had happened. At that moment, he comes across Gilly, who had also just returned, and calls out to him in concern. Gilly, equally surprised, asks what occurred in the village. An enemy tries to cast a spell, but is quickly brought down by Gilly. Alec offers to heal him and suggests that they meet Mia immediately, and Gilly agrees. Soon after, they are attacked by more soldiers, and Alec casts a powerful lightning spell to face them. Alec and Gilly realize that the fight against the enemies seems endless. Soon, Alec sees villagers fallen, including close people like Tom and the Elder. Shocked and overcome by rage, he swears that he will not forgive those responsible for the attack. Alec watches in fright that even the orchard is in flames, which makes him remember the happy moments he had there with friends. However, Gilly calls his attention upon noticing that Mia's house has not yet been hit by the fire, bringing a glimmer of hope amid the chaos. Mia is found surrounded by knights inside her house, clearly in danger. At that moment, Alec appears and, without hesitation, casts a wind magic to push the enemies away, managing to interrupt the attack against her. The boy faces one of the knights head-on, dodging and blocking his attacks with determination. Soon after, Alec steps in saying to leave the fight to him. While the boy agrees and moves on, trusting his friend to hold the enemies, the boy runs to the house, calling for Mia, determined to reach her. She appears weak at the door, visibly wounded, but upon seeing him, she becomes emotional and calls him Alec-kun, showing relief for finally finding him. Mia, relieved to meet Alec again, ends up being struck by enemy arrows. Even wounded, she lets out a sigh of relief for seeing him, but her body begins to give in to the pain, revealing the gravity of the situation. Mia, gravely wounded by the arrows, falls to the ground under Alec's desperate gaze. He runs toward her, calling for her in panic, while the fear of losing her consumes him. Alec runs to Mia lying on the ground, desperate to save her. While holding her in his arms, he promises to heal her immediately, determined to remove the arrow and stop the bleeding as quickly as possible. At the same time, Alec notices where the attack came from and understands the danger around them. Alec places his hands over Mia's wound, desperate, trying to heal her with healing magic. He casts the spell over and over, but the wound does not close. In shock, he screams asking why the magic is not working, while Mia continues suffering in his arms, coughing up blood. Despair takes hold of him as he realizes that something is blocking his healing. Alec, desperate, observes that Mia's limbs are still intact and thinks that a wound like this should be easily healable. However, he remembers the rules of healing magic. The spell only enhances the target's self-restoration capacity up to the maximum limit, but if the damage exceeds the lethal limit, the magic becomes useless. In shock, he understands that Mia's wound exceeded that limit. Meanwhile, she, weakened, tries to call his name, with a gentle smile on her face, even on the brink of death. Mia, gravely wounded, looks ahead with eyes almost lifeless, while blood runs from her mouth and chest. The harsh truth is revealed. One cannot heal someone already dead. Alec, in despair, clings to a single hope, reminding himself, "But I am a sage," as if there were still a chance to defy this cruel fate. Alec, in tears, desperately tries to heal Mia, repeating to himself that he is a sage and that he should be able to use resurrection magic. But he knows the cruel truth. To learn this magic, a sage needs to reach level 35 while he is only at level 10. Amid the despair, flashes of the past come to mind. His grandfather pressuring him to become a sage at such a young age, while he himself questioned whether he was really prepared to bear that burden. Alec remembers when he decided he would delay evolving as a sage because he dreamed of becoming a necromancer. While he eats, he recalls the happy moments with Mia and friends when she praised and encouraged him, saying simple but affectionate things. Among the memories, the promise they made to one day leave the village together emerges, a dream that now seems distant, bringing even more pain to his heart. Alec, still shaken by Mia's death, remembers that the battle is still happening around him. With a serious face, he stands up and begins casting reinforcement spells, strengthening his mind with Mind Burst. As he walks, he also activates protection and speed spells, such as Barrier, Magic Barrier, Protection, and Haste. Alec shows that even amid the pain, he cannot stop. Alec, still in shock, hears Alec worriedly asking about Mia, but the determination in Alec's gaze shows that he has already made his decision. Alec enchants his weapon with magic, preparing it to face the enemies. Alec watches, surprised at the sudden change of energy, while Alec advances determined. In a quick movement, he delivers a powerful strike, his sword wrapped in magic cutting with devastating force, showing that he will not back down even after everything that happened. Alec attacks in fury, delivering multiple blows against the enemy, who screams in pain when struck. The adversary falls into despair, his face marked by suffering. Without wasting time, Alec moves against another opponent and casts his wind magic, cutting the knight with force. Alec faces the knights with a cold gaze, making ice lances appear that pierce the enemies mercilessly. The soldiers fall before him, while his ally watches in fright, asking Alec to calm down, realizing that he no longer fully controls his fury. Gilly remembers Mia and, with a heavy heart, grips his staff wrapped in magical energy. He decides that he cannot back down, even at the risk of consuming all his mana. Determined, he faces the enemies ahead, while his ally watches the situation, frustrated by the intensity of the battle. The soldiers launch fire arrows at Gilly, but he counterattacks by conjuring a storm of flames, consuming the surrounding enemies. The chaos intensifies on the battlefield, and the soldiers retreat in fear, while others desperately call for their commander. In the background, a new enemy notices the destruction and comments on the monster that appeared. The commander appears before the soldiers, asking for help, equipped with weapons and armor enchanted by magic. Gilly casts a lightning bolt at him, but realizes that the attack has no effect due to the magical equipment. The man smiles confidently, calling the boy clever, while Gilly thinks of using dual magic to face the enemy. Gilly faces the heavily armed commander and, without hesitation, raises his hand and invokes a deadly spell. The word death echoes as he casts the spell directly at the enemy. The soldiers, in shock, begin to call Gilly a monster upon seeing the commander defeated. Consumed by rage, he raises his staff and fires another lightning spell. Determined not to let anyone escape, he thinks of eliminating as many as possible of the invaders who destroyed his village. The sky is shown covered by smoke as birds fly in fright. In the destroyed village, some people begin to appear among the rubble, looking in despair at what remained after the attack. Alec, laughing bitterly, reflects on the irony of not being able to use resurrection magic, but being able to cast instant death spells. He walks exhausted, while Mia's lifeless body remains lying on the ground in silence, increasing the weight of his pain even more. Alec returns dejected, while Gilly appears and asks about the situation. Alec explains that he checked the entire village, but did not find any survivor besides the two of them. Gilly, serious, questions what they should do from now on, and Alec, in silence, reflects on the weight of the decision they will have to make. The sun begins to set, and Gilly suggests that they look for a place to sleep and something to eat, besides thinking about how they will live from the next day. Alec, revolted, explodes with anger and sadness, remembering that the village is in flames and that Mia is dead, questioning how Gilly can think coldly about the future in the face of that tragedy. Alec, taken by anger and pain, grabs Gilly and questions why he acts as if nothing had happened, even after everything. He screams, outraged, asking if Mia really meant nothing to Gilly. Gilly, firm, answers that Alec is not the only one suffering, revealing that he also carries the pain and loss within himself. Gilly faces Alec and says that he also lost his parents and friends, and that, if he were alone, he would be in the same situation as him. With a steady look, he states that he cannot leave him alone like that. Alec, shocked and shaken, begins to realize how much his pain is not unique, while Gilly's hand reaches out to support him. 3 children watch excitedly through the window, smiling and pointing at the lights that illuminate the village during the night. The scene shows a calm and lively environment, contrasting with the moments of pain that were to come. The village is silent after the tragedy, now covered by the darkness of night. Alec reflects dejectedly, sitting against the wall, without the strength to react. He thinks about how long he has been sitting there, while Gilly went out in search of food. Although he knows he needs to act, his body does not respond, showing the weight of grief and exhaustion. Alec thinks about all the effort he devoted to training and becoming stronger, but he feels that he failed for not managing to save anyone. He sinks into memories of the loneliness of death, understanding well that feeling of emptiness and misery. Even so, the greatest pain is having lost Mia, and he curls up in despair, taken by regret. Alec suddenly awakens, still dazed and hugging himself, trying to pull himself together. He feels something strange, as if he had heard or sensed someone nearby. When he goes outside, he observes the ruins of the destroyed village and the bodies scattered around, reflecting on who that presence might have been. Alec looks on in surprise at a strange energy floating through the air, which quickly catches his attention. He follows it with his eyes, intrigued, while wondering if that could be something familiar. Confused, he activates the help function, seeking to understand what is happening before him. Alec rests under a tree while reflecting on the powers of a necromancer. He discovers that only a few receive unique abilities, and his is called Speaker of the Dead. Surprised, he realizes that this ability did not exist in the game he knew. Determined, he thinks that by increasing his level and changing class, he will be able to master it completely. Alec faces Mia's body and thinks that, even if it is something small, there is something that only he can do. Determined, he opens a door and follows the path, illuminated by the spirits that float through the place, guiding him inside the house. Alec goes up the stairs following the spirits, who guide him to a door. Upon realizing where he is, he approaches and notices that it was Mia's room, feeling the weight of the moment before opening the door. Alec enters Mia's room and observes the silent environment, still with her belongings organized. He walks slowly, noticing each detail, and the memory of his friend leaves him surprised and shaken. Gilly returns, bringing food, and calls out to Alec, but does not find him immediately. Worried, he looks for him around the house, afraid that he might have done something reckless. Alec then appears coming down the stairs and answers, trying to reassure his friend. Alec and Gilly discover that, besides them, there is one more survivor, a little girl who had been hidden and asleep among clothes, unaware of what had happened around her. Alec reflects that Mia sacrificed her life to protect Anna. While holding an apple, he hears footsteps echoing through the house, catching his attention. Anna sleeps hidden, while Alec remembers Mia's strength in contrast with his own weakness. He cuts an apple, reflecting on this. Soon, Gilly returns and says that he did not find survivors in the village and that the rescue may take time. Alec only answers that it is good to know. Gilly hands over some necessary equipment and clothes for Anna, while Alec asks him to wake her up. Shortly after, Anna comes down the stairs, and Alec greets her with a smile, telling her that breakfast is ready. Anna realizes that she is in Alec's house and asks about her sister. Alec invites her to sit and promises to explain before the meal. He tells her that the village was attacked by a mysterious group, something that Anna already knew, because her sister had told her to hide in the closet to protect herself. Alec reveals to Anna that only the 3 of them survived the attack, while all the others were killed, including her parents, the village chief, and the other residents. Anna listens in shock to the harsh truth. Anna asks about Mia, but Alec reveals that she was also killed. The girl, in shock, denies it, believing it is a lie, insisting that Mia must be fine since Alec appeared to save them. However, Alec states that he is not lying and explains that Mia fought until her last breath to protect them. Anna, taken by pain, questions Alec in anger, asking why he did not protect Mia and how he could have let her die. Alec, consumed by guilt, admits to himself that it was because he was weak. He believes that if he were stronger, Mia would still be alive. Anna states that if Mia were stronger, she would not have been killed, and that if she herself had strength, Mia would have managed to escape. Alec explodes, saying that being weak is indeed a problem, because he believes that, with strength, they could do anything. Gilly tries to restrain him, asking whether strength would really be enough to solve everything. Alec, agitated, shouts that the weak will always be trampled by the strong, stating that this is the reality of the world. Anna, determined, answers that the only way out is to become stronger. Anna, in tears, asks Alec to help her become stronger, because she does not want to be trampled again. Alec understands and reflects that power, authority, and wealth are not the privileges of the weak. Gilly adds that, so they do not lose anyone else, they need to strengthen themselves, since at the moment they are at a disadvantage in every aspect. Alec, moved and crying, extends his hand and says that they should all become stronger together. Anna and Gilly also become emotional, breaking down in tears, united by the pain of loss, but also by the determination to move forward side by side. The group finishes their last meal in Kettle Village. Then, they prepare themselves, gather the necessary equipment, and leave behind the land where they were born, departing together in search of a new destination. In the north of the forest, Alec begins to train Anna. He tells her to attack when she is ready, and the girl, even nervous, casts her magic. With determination, she releases a fire arrow and hits, celebrating excitedly for having managed it. Alec watches her progress seriously. During training, Alec summons a water creature to test Anna, scaring her at first. He explains that he managed to use this power thanks to the equipment inherited from his grandfather, who had already been an adventurer. Impressed, Anna watches the demonstration and is amazed by the result. Alec decides to teach dark magic to Anna, believing that it would be more useful than white magic for her goal of becoming stronger. While training her, he remembers when his grandfather taught him in the same way. Anna, even wearing clothes that belong to Mia, strives to cast fire spells under Alec's supervision, who watches her closely. After leaving the village, Anna starts calling Alec master. Despite feeling a certain distance from her, Alec respects her choice. At nightfall, the group gathers around the campfire to rest, and Gilly asks what the next destination will be. Alec answers that they will head to the port city of Volks. The group discusses their travel plans, and Alec makes it clear that they will not head to the royal capital, but to the merchant city of Volks, to the southeast, which would take about 14 days on foot. He decides to keep his reasons for avoiding the royal family a secret, but emphasizes that it will be easier to travel if there is a port, and that supplies there will be cheaper. Finally, Alec suggests that, upon arrival, they make guild cards for the three of them. They discuss the guild cards, which record name, country, and job level. Alec explains that, with them, tolls in the country would be exempt, and procedures in other places would be facilitated. He also comments that, since Kettle Village no longer exists, their places of birth have become undefined, so they need the cards as soon as possible for personal references. Then, he reveals that he intends to form a clan after they obtain the cards, leaving the others surprised. Alec explains that, by forming a clan, they could obtain a special residence called a clan house, and accept high-difficulty missions that do not come from the guild. However, Gilly emphasizes that more than 3 people would be needed to form a clan, and that it would be risky to involve Anna in such dangerous missions. Anna, determined, states that she will also fight and become stronger. Alec reassures her by saying that he will not allow her to accept missions above her level, and guarantees that she will undergo intensive training during the journey. 3 days later, Alec puts Anna to train intensely, telling her to attack a real enemy. Nervous, she conjures her fire magic against the monster. Meanwhile, Gilly watches worried and asks whether Alec is not overdoing the training. Alec answers with a smile that Anna herself asked for it, and reminds him that he had already said she would go through rigorous training. 5 days after leaving the village, Anna was already showing great progress in her training. Using her magic, she manages to launch a powerful fire arrow that defeats a goblin by herself for the first time. Happy with the result, she celebrates excitedly, while Alec watches satisfied with her advancement. While Anna showed progress in training, in other tasks, the situation was quite different. She holds the map upside down, getting confused with the directions, and later collects only poisonous plants, leaving Alec and Gilly worried. Along the way, she also gets tangled up and ends up falling into the water, leaving Alec desperate. Despite her efforts, it is clear that outside of training, the girl is still quite clumsy, which makes her apologize embarrassed. Anna becomes saddened for not having managed to fish anything, but Alec tries to cheer her up by saying that the fault could be his teaching method. He consoles her while drying her hair, remembering that it is normal to make mistakes the first time. Then, Anna asks if he had already fished a lot with Mia. Alec recalls the promise he made with her to become adventurers together, remembering the days when they camped in the forest, fished, hunted, and gathered food for an entire week. Anna remembers when she was still the same age at which Luli taught them to survive in the forest, while Gilly learned from his father. Soon after, during the camp, Gilly prepares the food and calls the two to eat. Alec thanks him, and as Anna approaches, Gilly takes the moment to ask Alec an important question. Alec asks Gilly about the jobs available when someone reaches level 50 as a hunter. Gilly explains that he managed to level up quite a lot because he killed many enemies in the attack on the village, which draws Alec's attention, who thinks about the fact that it is possible to gain experience even when fighting against people and not monsters. Soon, Gilly comments that the evolution options include becoming a sniper, a specialist in long-distance shots, or a ranger, specialized in combat and forest terrain. Alec explains to Gilly the various class evolution options. He could become a specialist in traps, the trap master, or if he reached level 30 as a blacksmith, he would have access to bonuses. There was also the possibility of becoming a treasure hunter if he reached level 30 as a thief, focusing on item collection. He comments that rangers work well alone or in a group, but outside forests they cannot use their full potential, while snipers have great attack power but little defense, being more suitable for teams. After reflecting, Gilly decides that he will become a sniper. Gilly states that, to survive, being just a hunter would already be enough, but if the goal was to become stronger and fight alongside Alec, the best choice would be to become a sniper. Alec understands his decision, while Anna, after dinner, says goodbye and goes to rest, leaving the two reflecting by the campfire. 7 days after leaving the village, Anna trains and manages to raise a protective barrier with magic, showing progress. Alec, satisfied, states that she is already ready and reveals that the next challenge will be to face an orc, while Gilly had been sent to lure the creature to them. Anna reacts surprised and frightened upon hearing this. Anna nervously prepares while Alec explains that orcs have a lot of endurance but are slow, and that with the right aim she could defeat it. Soon, Gilly warns that the creature is coming, and a huge orc appears in the forest. Alec calls Anna to battle, and she answers with determination, ready to face the enemy. Anna fires a fire arrow at the orc, hitting it in the chest. Frightened but determined, she uses binding magic to restrain the creature, and continues shooting multiple fire arrows in sequence, trying to defeat it with all her strength. The orc begins to break free from the restraints, but Anna reacts quickly and casts a powerful fire vortex, engulfing the creature in flames. Alec watches closely, recognizing that she did a good job, but still reflects that there are points to improve. The target is trapped inside a sphere of fire, but even so, it manages to resist. The girl realizes that the mana consumption of the spell is very high, being surprised to see that the enemy came out practically unscathed from the attack. She is shocked, unable to believe that it withstood the spell. The girl is paralyzed, unable to move while the enemy advances. At that moment, an ally appears and launches a powerful lightning attack to protect her. The enemy takes the lightning attack and falls to the ground, wounded. The girl watches the scene still frightened, while the ally calls her name, worried about her. The boy explains that, at that moment they are fighting to become stronger, but it is important to always think about the amount of mana available. He advises the girl that it is no use defeating the enemy if they do not survive afterwards, and reminds her that she needs to save mana for a possible escape. She listens to the instructions, feels a bit embarrassed, and apologizes, saying that she understood. The boy tries to cheer the girl up, saying that he notices her effort and assures her that she will become stronger. Later, already at night, she is lying in her tent, still thinking about what happened, seeming a little worried and tired. The girl begins calling for her sister, becoming desperate when she realizes that she is being left behind. She runs to the door, pounding and shouting her sister's name, but ends up alone and scared. Anna wakes up startled from a nightmare, but soon realizes it was just a dream. The boy asks if she is okay and, seeing that she is tired, offers warm milk to help. Then, while he prepares things near the campfire, Anna sees a strange object and asks what it island. The boy explains that it is a magic item he made to sell when they arrive in the next city. Anna is surprised to learn that the boy can make various items, like the tents and the lamps. She starts to feel useless, thinking that she is good for nothing and that her sister would be better company since she knows how to cook and fish. The boy tries to cheer her up, saying that she is good at learning magic. Anna, crying, asks not to be abandoned. The boy is surprised, but soon hugs her and assures her that he will never leave her alone, saying that she is his sister and family and that it does not matter if she is not like the older sister. Taken by the fear of being left aside, Anna begins to cry and says that the brother will end up abandoning her too. The boy holds Anna, asks her to look at him, and states that, even without the older sister around, she is still part of the family. He promises to stay by her side until she can manage on her own. The boy makes a promise, guaranteeing that he will never abandon Anna. She still doubts, but he insists that he is serious. Anna ends up moved and cries in his arms, feeling safer. Anna cries in the boy's lap, who realizes that he had not noticed how anxious she was and how hard she was trying not to be left behind. He understands that, to Anna, they were still just her sister's friends and not her real family or companions. 14 days after leaving the village, Anna shows progress in her training and manages to defeat 3 enemies using magic. The group continues the journey to Volks, and everyone is satisfied with her performance, praising her effort and achievements. While Anna hands items to the group, she calls him Alec Oni-chan and explains that she does this because he is her family. Alec realizes that Anna is evolving very quickly in magic, even more than he did in the past. He concludes that this happens because, outside the village, she can focus on training without worrying about other dangers. Currently, Anna is already a level 5 dark mage. The group comments on how much Anna is evolving and jokes that she might become a genius mage in the future. Already at night, they arrange the watch shifts, and Anna says goodnight to everyone before going to sleep in the tent. The group is about to arrive in Volks, and Alec thinks that, upon reaching the city, it will be the beginning of a new phase as adventurers. He carries a bag with items left by his grandfather, including an inheritance of 5 million G, which would be enough to live simply in the village for years, but is not that much for someone who will live as an adventurer. The group realizes that, even with the inheritance, they will spend a lot of money on high-level equipment and city expenses. Alec thinks that it is better to focus on strengthening the team before investing in expensive equipment. He also reflects on the group's roles, such as the need for new members and helping Gilly become a shooter. In addition, Alec wishes to change his class to Necromancer in the future, but knows he will need a special item for that. Meanwhile, Anna, still awake, thinks about which advanced class she wants to follow. During the night watch, Alec feels a strange presence in the forest, something he has noticed since childhood, and that has only grown stronger over time. He suspects this has to do with his unique ability to speak with the dead, but he still cannot see these presences clearly. Alec begins to wonder whether the feeling of presences is getting stronger because of the level increase or because of the deaths he has already witnessed. He realizes that he has several problems to solve, including investigating the group that attacked the village. Later, he and the group are cleared to enter the city after passing inspection. Anna is delighted upon entering the city for the first time, admiring the bustle, the shops, and everything around. The group observes the details of the new place, noticing the difference in relation to the village where they lived. Alec realizes that the city fees are very high and says that they need to make the guild cards soon so as not to spend so much. Anna gets excited upon seeing the shops, but Alec reminds her that they first need to go to the guild. Even so, they end up deciding to take a walk around the city before proceeding with their obligations. The story presents Volks, the largest port city in the Kingdom of Pendragon and a major commercial hub. The city borders the Kaz Empire to the south and has a long history marked by wars. Near the port, several small islands with dungeons are also part of the region, making the place busy and full of challenges. Volks also functions as a fortress city, protected by tall and sturdy walls. The group enters through the north gate and notices that the guild is on the south avenue. Although the fastest way is along the main street, they decide to take the chance to stop by the sea first. Anna gets excited at the idea of seeing the sea. The group comments on the sea and the large ships that can be seen in the east of the city. Alec speaks naturally about the details of the place, raising suspicions that he has been there before, but he quickly plays it off by saying that he only heard about it from a merchant. Inside, Alec remembers that he knows the city because of the game in which Volks was an important base for players. Alec realizes that the city stalls do not have as many good products as in the game, but he plays it off when the group asks if everything is fine. Soon after, they all head excitedly to see the port, where they can see the ships up close. After strolling and eating a lot, the group finally arrives at the Mages Guild. Anna is impressed by the size of the place, while Alec reminds Gilly to save money, since they still need to pay for lodging that night. The group enters the Mages Guild, wanting to speed up the registration because they still need to stop by other guilds and the clan office. Inside, the place is busy, and a friendly receptionist greets them, asking how she can help. Alec asks to register himself and Anna in the guild, explaining that she knows how to use dark and white magic. The clerk says that there is no age restriction, and if Anna can really use magic, she already meets the requirement. They decide to make the guild card to prove it. The clerk explains that the guild card has a magic circle that registers the owner when touched. The first registration is free, but reissuing costs 500 grams because the card has mithril. Anna prepares to touch the card and finalize the registration. Anna finalizes the registration and the card shows her classes and levels. White Mage level 5 and Dark Mage level 15. She celebrates excitedly, while the attendant explains that the learned skills do not appear on the card, only the jobs and levels. Alec watches curiously while waiting for his own card, and the clerk says that they will receive missions according to each one's level and class. Alec receives the guild card and is surprised to see that his old name, from before being transmigrated, appears. He realizes that Anna and the others cannot see this detail, only his classes and levels, and everyone is impressed by Alec's number of professions and high level. The clerk asks Anna to show her card as well, to finalize the registration. The clerk notices something strange on Alec's card, but he quickly asks her to check it discreetly and without drawing attention. She agrees but is surprised and runs to a private room, clearly shaken by what she saw. While the group waits, an elderly and hurried man enters the guild, asking where the Genius Island. He is the guild master, Watson, who is soon informed by the clerk that Alec is responsible for the impressive deeds. Watson goes straight to Alec, who is surprised by the situation. The guildmaster is shocked by Alec's magic level and asks who his teacher was. Alec answers that he is a disciple of the sage Gale, which surprises Watson even more. Alec also mentions having learned from other masters and from his grandfather. The guildmaster recalls having heard that Gale adopted an apprentice, but did not know that this apprentice would be the successor. The group watches the situation, finding the master's manner amusing. Alec discovers that the guildmaster is his grandfather's brother, something he did not know. Watson wants to talk more, but Alec explains that they still need to stop by the Hunters Guild and the clan office. The master then offers to write a letter of recommendation for them, asking for just a moment. Anna watches everything, somewhat unsure what to think of the situation. The guild master recognizes Alec's equipment as belonging to his older brother, confirming that Alec is telling the truth. Satisfied with the proof, he begins writing the letter of recommendation, while Alec thanks him. The guild master hands recommendation letters to Alec to take to the Hunters Guild and the clan office, saying that it is just a small favor. He also says that he has prepared rooms for them at an inn run by the guild itself, making the group's stay in the city easier. The guildmaster bids farewell, saying that he still wants to talk a lot with Alec in the future. The group thanks for all the help and comments on how friendly he island. Alec realizes that Watson does not know that his grandfather has already passed away 7 years ago, but prefers not to say anything for now. Alec wonders whether anyone in the village knew that his grandfather had a brother. Then, he remembers that the reception closes at the end of the day and calls everyone to hurry to the Hunter Guild. They go to the building, register normally, and Gilly gets his guild card without any problem. The group arrives at the guild office to form a clan, excited about the idea of getting their own house. They inform the receptionist that they want to create a clan and present their guild cards to start the process. The receptionist notices Alec's advanced classes and is surprised, but he hands over a letter of recommendation from the master of the Mages Guild. She checks everything very professionally and soon recognizes that Alec is a disciple of the famous sage Gale, which impresses her even more. The receptionist proudly confirms that she knows Alec's grandfather, since Sage Gale was the leader of the famous clan White Olu. This clan was legendary, completing many difficult missions, helping defend the country, and inspiring many people to create their own clans, admiring Sage Gale. The receptionist excitedly talks about the respect everyone in Volks has for Sage Gale, and says that she is also a big fan of his. She gets excited about the idea of a new clan being created by the disciple of a hero, but Alec replies that he doesn't have such grand plans. Then, he asks if there are any other requirements besides 3 members to form a clan, and she confirms that there are no problems with their identification. The receptionist explains that a clan is recognized by the Lord of Volks and has privileges such as renting houses and warehouses, but for that, they need to fulfill some requirements. The 2 requirements are having at least 3 members above level 15 and paying the registration fee of 1 million G. Alec already gets ready to pay, thinking that thankfully Anna has already completed the necessary training. The group manages to register the clan and receives the title of Bronze Clan. They discover that they will only be able to use warehouses since only silver clans or above can have clan houses. The rankings go from bronze to orichalcum, and the higher the rank, the better the rewards and benefits. For now, they will need to continue staying at the inn. They discover that to raise the clan to silver, they need to fulfill 2 of the 3 requirements. The leader must have an advanced class, earn 1 million contribution points, or pay 1 million in money. Since Alec already meets the requirements, he hands over the money and asks to promote the clan to silver immediately, surprising the receptionist. The receptionist is shocked to see Alec paying in gold coins and skipping straight to silver rank. She comments that this is something totally out of the ordinary since normally adventurers struggle to gather the money just to register the clan. The group simply says that they are using what they have and try not to draw too much attention, but the situation ends up becoming legendary for the standards of the place. While Alec reflects on the fact that he jumped straight to silver rank, the group comments that he was never a normal person anyway. They say that under normal circumstances, it would be necessary to invest time and money to rank up and improve equipment, but Alec found it more practical to just use the money. The receptionist then asks what the name of the clan will be, also confirming if the other two in the group are the members. Alec asks about the names of the other clans in Volks. The receptionist explains that there are only 4 high-ranking clans, and the names usually mix colors with striking characteristics, like Golden Sword, Silver Pterosaur, Crimson Battle Axe, and Green Whirlpool. She comments that even in Silver and Bronze clans, it is common to mix color with the group's trait in the clan name. Alec keeps thinking about this while listening to the options. Alec thinks about what will make the clan stand out. He decides to use the color white since it is rare in that world and something he inherited from his grandfather. He realizes that they don't have any special lineage or tactics and keeps thinking about something that will make the group stand out from other clans. After thinking for a while, Alec reaches a decision and calls the receptionist to register. Alec reveals that the name of the clan will be the White Wisdom. He explains that what makes the group different is knowledge, since possessing wisdom is one of the greatest advantages. Everyone understands that the name is connected to the value of knowledge. Alec decides to create the strongest clan to protect those who are important to him, using all the knowledge and experience he brought from his previous life. Thus, the White Wisdom clan enters history as the first in Volks to achieve silver rank on the very day of its foundation. The name of the clan, White Wisdom, ends up being forever engraved in the memory of the residents of Volks as the heroes who saved the city from demon attacks. In the end, the receptionist gets all excited, praising the name of the clan, and Alec, leaving the group somewhat speechless. The city is in flames and taken over by chaos. Alec appears fighting, taking down several enemies as he advances, with a determined look and ready to protect whoever is in front of him. A girl appears wounded, with blood on her mouth and clothes. Alec wakes up, startled, sweating, realizing it was just a nightmare. He sits on the bed, looking around, while the others are still sleeping in the room. Alec, Anna, and Gilly walk together through the streets of the city, looking calmer after the latest events. The atmosphere is lighter as they continue their stroll, starting a new chapter in their journey. The three are surprised when they see a large house and discover that it will now be the base of their new clan, White Wisdom. Everyone seems excited and happy with the achievement, already imagining what this new phase in the clan headquarters will be like. They are impressed with the size of the clan house, finding it much bigger than they expected. One of them even thinks they might get lost inside. The staff member invites everyone to come in and informs them that the place is already fully furnished, ready to receive the group. The group is greeted by Mary, the housemaid, who cheerfully introduces herself and says she is ready to serve them, along with her sister Melissa. Alec is surprised since he didn't request a maid, but accepts the situation. Soon after, Mary offers to show them the entire house. Mary starts showing them the house. On the first floor, there is a living room, dining room, kitchen, reception, rooms for the staff, and even a bathroom. She also says there is a basement to store things. On the second floor are the group's rooms, which are 10 in total. They ask if 3 rooms would be enough, since now there are only them in the group. The staff member explains that they will need more members for the clan, and that preparations are already being made for this. She says that in a few days they will receive a list with the candidates from each guild, and until then, they should enjoy the city of Volks. Melissa thinks that Alec will sign without hesitation, and that everything is going according to her plan. She remembers that it was worth explaining everything to her former boss, because now she managed to get the subsidy using the letter from the guildmaster. Alec, seeing her so dedicated, thinks that at least she is doing her job right. Deep down, Melissa dreams of being an important secretary at the side of the hero. Alec goes to talk to Watson, who comments about Alec having started directly at Silver Class, something unprecedented in Volks. Alec asks if Watson is really his grandfather's brother, but Watson explains that they are not blood relatives. He is like a granduncle. Watson also reintroduces himself as the Master of the Mages Guild. Alec learns that Watson and his grandfather were raised together as brothers because they were orphans and were taken in by the same master. Alec comments that maybe Watson didn't know, but his grandfather had died 7 years ago of old age. Watson is surprised and says he didn't know because they had lost contact a long time ago. Alec asks what his grandfather was like before going to Kettle Village, wanting to know more about his past. Watson explains that they were born and raised in the same village, but an epidemic ended up killing most of the residents of that place. The village was devastated by the epidemic, and everyone was just waiting for death to come. At that moment, a mysterious man appeared and took in Watson and his brother, who were already on the verge of death. They became his disciples and learned magic. Watson explains that the epidemic was the result of a curse, and they only managed to survive because they had high mana. Later, he grew up, became an adult, and became the master of the Mages Guild in Volks. The former lord created the clan system just to try to control the protagonist's grandfather, who was too strong. Meanwhile, Watson's brother gained fame as an adventurer. Alec is surprised, and Watson confirms that all this was because of his grandfather, showing how powerful he was. Soon after, Watson begins to tell about a siege of a castle, carried out about 50 years ago by the Kars Empire, with 3,000 soldiers attacking the Pendragon Kingdom. The protagonist's grandfather gathered 1,000 soldiers and defeated half of the enemy army, practically by himself, ensuring the victory of the Pendragon Kingdom. Alec is impressed by all this. Watson explains that everyone in the city knows the story of Gale, but he also tells that when Gale was 33 years old, he lost his companion and beloved in a battle. The death of his beloved was the reason Alec's grandfather abandoned the adventurer's life. Alec comments that, in his case, he ended up becoming an adventurer precisely because he lost the one he loved. Watson realizes that their stories are similar but end up being opposite. He takes the opportunity to ask about Billy, wanting to know if he is okay. Watson says that Billy was very beloved by everyone, but Alec reveals that about 16 days ago, their village was attacked by an unknown group. The houses were burned down, and almost all the residents, including Billy, were killed. Watson is shocked to hear this. Alec explains that only he, Gilly, and Anna survived the attack and came there alone. Watson is shocked and thinks the situation is horrible. Alec says he believes the attackers were soldiers because they acted as if commanded by someone, probably from the Empire. Watson asks if Alec informed the ducal family of the brother's death, and Alec says he sends the list of residents every year, so probably yes. Watson becomes thoughtful and says he will talk to the Lord. Alec apologizes, says he will get in touch after stabilizing, and thanks him for his time. Watson says there is no need to thank him and that Alec can count on him if he goes through difficulties. Alec thanks him and says goodbye to Watson, saying he will focus on gathering more companions while Watson investigates who attacked the village. Alec is sitting analyzing a sheet while thinking about possible new members for the group. The scene quickly shows details of 3 different candidates. Rouge Howard arrives excited in front of the White Wisdom clan house, saying that he is the 3rd son of Viscount Howard, is 15 years old, and is a level 5 swordsman. He knocks on the door, determined to have the interview to try to fulfill his dream of joining the clan. Rouge is greeted at the door by the maid, who calls him inside, saying that Alec is waiting for the interview. He enters nervously, trying to calm himself, and remembering that he has a letter of recommendation from the Swordsmen's Union. Soon, he is guided to the room where Alec and the others are waiting for him. Rouge enters very formally, introduces himself, and thanks Alec for receiving him. Alec, relaxed, asks him to sit, and says that what matters there is not status, but who the person island. He also thanks Rouge for coming there, and introduces himself as the leader of the clan. Alec introduces Gilly, saying that besides being a level 50 hunter, he is his adopted brother and will be the clan's sub-leader. Then he introduces Anna, saying that despite being only 7 years old, she is already a level 15 dark mage and knows how to handle herself in battle. Rouge is surprised by their levels, especially Anna's, which is the same as his, and he greets her not quite knowing what to say. Alec says that besides being a sage, he is also an alchemist, and that he plans to turn the clan's materials into magic items to sell. Rouge is shocked, wondering how someone can have 2 advanced jobs like that, since normally even one would already be hard to get. Then Alec wraps up the introductions. Alec asks Rouge to introduce himself, but Rouge gets curious and asks how the group reached such high levels. Alec explains that he learned from his grandfather, and that Gilly learned from his father. Besides that, everyone learned to fight as a group with Master Lilienthal, whom Rouge recognizes as being from the famous White Owl. Anna comments that she trained for 2 weeks with the group until reaching level 15. Rouge is shocked to learn it happened so fast, since he knows Lilienthal's reputation. Impressed, Rouge asks to join White Wisdom, determined to follow the same path. Rouge reveals that his grandfather was a member of the White Owl, founded by Alec's grandfather. He explains that his dream is to restore the family name by becoming a shield knight, like his grandfather. Alec understands the reason for the request and accepts Rouge's motivation. Alec looks seriously at Rouge and asks him to give up the idea of becoming a knight, catching Rouge completely off guard, not understanding the reason for this request. Alec explains that he heard about Rouge's grandfather Cain Howard, famous for repelling even dragon attacks as a shield knight. But Alec reveals that, in fact, his grandfather was not a knight, but a guardian, and that the defensive abilities of a common knight don't even come close to what a guardian can do. Rouge is surprised to hear this. Alec explains that guardians have aura abilities focused on protecting their companions, enveloping the user in light. He asks if Rouge's father or grandfather never told him this, and Rouge says no, since his grandfather died when his father was still a child. Alec comments that these aura abilities are similar to the ki of a martial artist, and that they can be learned after level 30 as a swordsman. But few follow this path. Rouge thinks about his grandfather, finding it hard to believe he wasn't a knight. Alec explains that Rouge's grandfather started as a swordsman, and that to become a guardian, you just have to change class upon reaching level 50 as a swordsman. Alec also says that he knows what is needed and where to change class, so Rouge can rest easy. Alec explains that guardians have less attack power than knights, and that it's hard to level up alone, since this class depends on protecting allies. Rouge grows thoughtful, remembering the nickname his family gets for being considered useless by others. Rouge remembers people speaking ill of his family, calling them a disgrace for living off the ancestors' fame. Alec comments that, in times of peace, there isn't much chance for a guardian to show his value, since there are hardly any battles to protect others. Even so, Rouge thinks he has always admired his grandfather's achievements, and Alec asks if he still wants to follow this path. Rouge remembers his father and brother, who also followed his grandfather's legacy. He keeps wondering why he can't be like his father, and begins to doubt whether he lacks talent, or if the problem lies with his father's sons. In silence, he grows thoughtful, but stands up to take action. Rouge kneels in front of Alec, saying that all this was fate. He promises to dedicate his shield to Alec, and asks to be guided to greatness. Alec accepts Rouge's decision, promising to help him become a guardian, and saying that he will prepare a good place for him to shine. Rouge thanks him, guarantees that he will prove his worth, while Alec thinks that this is the group's second member. Alec says that if the next interviewee is good, the interviews are over. Gilly comments about Rouge, saying that he doesn't mind whether he will be a knight or a guardian. Alec is focused reading papers, but Gilly notices that he is pushing himself too hard and warns him not to overdo it. Alec just answers with a smile, saying that he will be fine, and asks him not to worry. The next day, a young man receives the news that he was nominated for a silver class clan and is in shock, thinking he wouldn't be useful in such a group. The guildmaster just tells him to stop complaining and go do the interview already, while he is still trying to process the situation. The young man introduces himself all nervous, saying his name is Hastile and he is 18 years old. The group analyzes his status and notices that he focused only on attack skills and completely forgot the evasion part. He already expects more criticism, thinking he will hear the same thing as always. Hastile explains that, unlike other martial artists who train a lot of evasion, he only focused on offensive skills. Even thinking he would be criticized for that, Alec surprises him and says he thinks this choice is very good, cheering the boy up. Alec realizes that Hastile has a clear plan to evolve his skills and asks if he will really follow this path. Alec says excitedly that if Hastile keeps evolving, one day he will be able to use a super strong special move, like an explosive Hadoken that can defeat any enemy alone. Hastile is shocked, asks if this ability really exists, and gets thrilled when he hears that it does. Thinking everything makes sense now, Alec confirms that if he follows the right path, even a stone golem can be defeated with this special move of martial artists. Hastile says he always asked others about this special ability, but everyone said it didn't exist. He remembers that when he was a child, his village was attacked by a stone golem, and an adventurer defeated the monster using only his fists. Since his family was poor and couldn't buy weapons, he was impressed seeing someone fight using only his own body. Hastile says he wanted to become strong enough to defeat a stone golem, so he focused only on offensive skills. For not learning any evasion, no group wanted him as vanguard, since a martial artist who doesn't dodge attacks falls easily. He spent a long time just gathering herbs and couldn't level up. Alec says that now they have a talented shield in the group and that he can heal Hastile whenever he gets hurt, showing that he can be useful anyway. Alec asks Hastile if he wants to try to fulfill his dream within the White Wisdom group. He warns that the training will be heavy, so Hastile needs to be prepared. Hastile accepts excitedly, saying he will face any kind of training, and Alec guarantees that they will give him all the support he needs. After a few days, Alec gathers everyone in the group to start the training and the leveling up process. He comments that Gilly doesn't count as a novice, and before they start, He asks all the new members to introduce themselves. Rouge introduces himself, says he is 15 years old, a level 15 swordsman, and wants to become a guardian. Right after, Lorraine, who is 16 years old, introduces herself smiling and says she is a level 14 thief. They show excitement to start working together. Hastile introduces himself as an 8-year-old martial artist, and Alex says he is level 12 and that he is excited to work with everyone. They set off together for an underwater cave, where Alex says he will explain how everything works before they enter. Alec begins to organize the team. He asks Lorraine to find and attack the monsters first. Then Rouge draws their attention and holds them with the shield, while Anna uses a lightning bolt to finish the monsters when Rouge pins them. Everyone confirms the role they will fulfill. Hastile asks what he is going to do, since Anna ended up last in the team. Alec just tells him to try to hit the monsters with stones and focus on improving his spirit. That's all he needs to do. Hastile is a bit shocked by the simplicity. Hastile is surprised, thinking he won't take part in the battles. But Alec asks him to trust and says this is part of the training. They enter the cave and start with Lorraine. Hastile realizes that what they said about the training being hard was true. Lorraine lures a monster, running ahead of the group. She shouts, warning that she brought one, and Rouge is already getting ready to face the creature, asking them to leave it to him. Rouge draws the monster's attention, becoming the main target. The monster goes straight at him, but Anna casts a lightning bolt, hitting the enemy right after. The group finishes defeating the monster quickly, and everyone notices that it was too easy. Alec praises the team but instructs Rouge not to use Shield Bash, because it becomes hard to hit the enemy if it gets thrown far away. Then Alec asks Hastile to throw a stone next time. The group gets excited to continue the training. The group faces another monster, this time a giant octopus. Lorraine lures the monster. Rouge prepares with the shield. Hastile throws a stone, and then focuses on raising his spirit. Anna finishes by using a lightning bolt. Meanwhile, Rouge and Lorraine watch Hastile, who keeps repeating stone, spirit, a bit dazed. Anna defeats the monster and everyone celebrates, praising her strength. Alec notices that Anna leveled up and praises her spells. She gets a little shy and steps away, and Lorraine explains that Anna is the leader's younger sister and is quite shy. Hastile watches everything, somewhat impressed with the group. Alec praises Hastile for his effort and notices that he also leveled up. Alec comments that his ki is greater and that now he must have sharper senses. Hastile notices this difference in his own body, surprised by the change. He thinks that the leader favors family, but ends up not caring that much. Hastile is surprised by the progress, feeling that he is improving quickly thanks to the group's effort and the spirit training. Alec encourages him, saying that, at this pace, he will be the first to achieve his own dream. Hastile feels motivated, wanting to become as strong as the adventurer he admires and learn the explosive special move. Hastile grabs some stones and says he will throw as many as necessary. He has already decided to trust the leader and goes along excited with the group to continue the challenge inside the cave. Lorraine sees the group moving on and grows thoughtful, thinking alone. She thinks that a dream doesn't fill an empty belly, showing that despite moving on with the group, she has more practical worries about life. The chapter begins by showing the Pendragon Kingdom and its royal capital, Bran. A young man named Chris walks down an elegant corridor until he arrives in front of a door. He announces that it is him, Chris, and asks permission to enter. The princess authorizes his entry. Chris enters the room and notices that the princess was in prayer, but she says she has already finished. He asks if she has anything to report, and the princess confirms. Chris then informs that the sage's village was completely destroyed. The princess hears the news and responds with an "I see," without showing much reaction. Chris comments that it is still not clear who was really leading the bandits, but he believes they were from the Empire. He asks the princess what they should do. She thinks for a moment and decides that the best thing now is to act cautiously so as not to draw her brother's attention. Chris understands the message and obeys. Alone. The princess is satisfied because things happened as she wanted, since now the illusion of protection that the sage gave has disappeared for good. The princess keeps a smile on her face, saying that it is time for a fun war and hopes this will satisfy someone. Right after, a happy and excited girl appears, full of expectation. The group is excited about the number of monsters defeated and wonders how much they will be able to sell all that for. One of the boys comments that even so, all the money goes to the clan, so they won't earn anything directly. They recognize that they only managed to hunt so much thanks to Sir Alec's help, so they understand the situation, even though they find it kind of annoying not to receive anything. The group starts collecting the parts of the defeated monsters, but one of the boys already refuses to help, finding it disgusting. They comment that they knew the leader was special. Anna asks Lorraine why she chose to be a thief. Lorraine explains that her brother said that the professions most skillful with their hands, such as rogues and hunters, can extract higher quality materials from monsters, so she chose that class. Lorraine admits that this is true, but she feels a bit embarrassed. While the group continues collecting the materials, Lorraine stays kind of quiet in the corner. Anna approaches her, and Lorraine realizes it is the first time the two have talked. Anna is a little surprised, but Lorraine jokes by asking if Anna is curious about her. Anna feels awkward, but soon receives an item from the leader, who says that if Lorraine is so excited, then she will be fine. The atmosphere becomes lighter between them. Lorraine receives a list with monster parts and market prices. The leader explains that he prefers to leave this part to hunters and thieves, so he hands this task to Lorraine. If she doesn't want to, she can deal with the monsters and deliver the finishing blow to them. He even jokes by saying that the group's good meals depend on her now. Lorraine, a little surprised, accepts the responsibility. The leader tells the group that they are going to work together today and thanks them for waiting, saying that he will help too. In the next scene, the body of a defeated monster appears on the ground, full of items. Lorraine observes everything kind of quiet and thoughtful, showing that she is somewhat uncomfortable or worried about the situation. The group is exhausted after 3 consecutive days exploring the underwater cave. Everyone is sprawled on the ground, complaining that the pace is way too tough, even with the leader healing them all the time. The people say he is a demon for being so strict, but he just laughs and says there are still 2 days left to finish. Even tired, the group tries to keep their spirits up. Rouge says he will not complain about something easy like that because he still has pride as the oldest of the Howard family. Anna says she is still fine, even feeling the fatigue. The leader warns that there are only 2 more days left, and then they will be able to rest, in addition to receiving the proper salary of 20,000 grams. Lorraine gets excited when she hears about the payment and promises to give her all the next day as well. Lorraine gets excited and thanks the leader, hugging him suddenly. After 4 days, they had already gathered plenty of material, and Alec looks at everything and says that now it is time to manufacture items. While Alec thinks that there will be no problem paying the clan fees thanks to Lorraine's effort, a maid appears informing him that he has a visitor. It is a lady from the orphanage. Alec is surprised, but goes to receive her, and she politely introduces herself to him. The lady introduces herself as Lana, director of the Volks orphanage. She explains that she came to thank Alec for taking care of Lorraine. Alec discovers that Lorraine is from the orphanage because she lost her parents and had no other relatives, so the orphanage took her in. Lana says she did not come to see Lorraine, but to talk to Alec. She says that a few years ago, Lorraine became independent and joined the Thieves Guild. In the middle of the conversation, Alec asks not to be called Master Alec, just Alec is fine. Lana comments that Alec speaks just like Gale. Then she reveals that the orphanage was founded by Gale himself, leaving Alec surprised. Lorraine arrives home and runs into Director Lana, is surprised and asks what she is doing there. Lana replies that she heard that Lorraine joined the clan of Gale's own grandson, and therefore she couldn't help it and wanted to meet Alec. She remembers that Gale was an incredible person, and explains that he hid that he founded the orphanage to prevent it from getting involved in trouble. Lorraine is worried about Lana for going there even with her bad leg. Alec says that, in a way, he and Lorraine are like relatives or even siblings, since he is also an orphan and was raised by his grandfather. Lorraine is surprised to hear this. Alec says that his grandfather was very strict, but it was thanks to his advice that he got to Wary Island. He comments that he has friends in the clan who also have no relatives, so his goal is to create a place where everyone can feel at home, and that is what the clan exists for. Director Lana is moved hearing this. Lorraine thinks about Anna, who even being so young is stronger and works more than she does. Lorraine remembers that when she heard that Alec was the sage's grandson and lived in a luxurious place, she thought he would be just another spoiled boy. Lana says that in recent years, the orphanage has received anonymous donations, and she suspects it is from Lorraine, since this started after she left the orphanage, but she never asked directly. Lorraine realizes that Lana knew about the donations. The orphanage director says she is worried because many donations always arrive, and she fears that Lorraine is getting involved in something dangerous. In a memory, Lorraine appears helping other people, but using her stealth skills to take money from bad people, justifying that the money is going to those who really need it. Even so, the director only hopes that Lorraine is not involved in any crime. Director Lana says that, above all, she only wants Lorraine to live for herself, and not just for the orphanage. Lorraine thinks that the children at the orphanage are everything to her. Alec reassures the director by saying that Lorraine is busy working with the group, gathering materials and exploring dungeons, so she does not need to worry about Lorraine while she is there. Director Lana says goodbye and entrusts Lorraine to the group's care, wishing that everyone will be well. Lorraine stands still for a moment, thoughtful, until she ends up bumping into Alec in the corridor, becoming surprised. Lorraine is surprised to learn that Director Lana was there, says she really wanted to have seen her, and comments that she considers Lana as if she were her only relative. She says she wants to reassure the director, since she is getting older, and soon says goodbye, leaving excited. Alec just watches her leave. At night, Lorraine is sitting on the bed, thinking and reviewing some notes. Alec knocks on the door, enters the room and says that he was thinking about director Lana's words. Lorraine asks what happened, curious about his visit. Alec surprises Lorraine by saying that he is going to ask his clan to make donations to the orphanage. Lorraine is shocked and asks the reason. Alec replies that it is something his grandfather taught him, to use his own power to help other people, while he comments that he will seek the rest of the group's approval. Lorraine grows thoughtful, wanting to understand the reason for Alec going so far for this. Alec explains that he cannot help everyone, but he wants to take care of the people close to him, giving them a hand when they need it. Lorraine asks if that includes her, and Alec replies that yes, saying that she is part of his clan, as if she were family. Lorraine starts laughing and thinks about what it is to be family. She says she will start calling the leader brother from now on, since they are like siblings. Alec is a bit embarrassed, says he is older, but accepts. Lorraine ends up saying that she can call him boss too, and Alec just agrees, even finding it strange. Lorraine gets excited upon learning that the salary will be 20,000 grams per month. She makes it clear that what matters to her is money. She doesn't care much about other details of the job. Alec says he can increase the amount if the group evolves or she takes a better position. Lorraine accepts right away and says she is ready to work with the leader. Alec thinks that he doesn't really know about Lorraine's past, but he believes that now she will be fine in the group. He looks at his team and realizes that he has finally managed to assemble all the roles he needed in the clan, with tank, attackers, support, and mage. Now he wants to strengthen everyone and turn White Wisdom into the most stable and safe clan, a place where Anna and Gilly can live in peace, and no one will be able to steal anything from them. After 14 days traveling by ship, the group is tired, and some are already getting seasick with the rocking of the sea. When they are almost arriving, one of them spots the destination and calls the leader. Everyone gets excited upon seeing the land approaching, impressed with what they see. The group finally arrives at the destination and sees an island full of mountains and vegetation, with a volcano at the center. They discover that this place is called Goblin Island. The leader gathers the group and warns that Goblin Island is a much bigger challenge than the previous dungeon. He explains that there is a powerful boss called the Goblin King, and that to level up, they need to defeat this boss by cutting off his head. Everyone gets excited and responds with determination. The group arrives on Goblin Island, and the leader asks how everyone is feeling. They organize for the mission and show their levels. Lorraine is a level 26 thief, Rouge is a level 27 swordsman, Hastiel is a level 25 martial artist, and Anna is a level 28 dark mage. Everyone replies that they are ready. The leader explains the map of Goblin Island to the group, showing where they are, near a fishing village and a port. He says that the objective is to head to the mine in the center of the island, where there is another miner's village. The residents of this place ask to exterminate the goblins. The plan is to defeat about 20 to 70 goblins along the way, but the main objective is to defeat the Goblin King. The group talks about the types of goblins they will face on the island. They say that most are normal, but there are also archer goblins, shamans, and leaders, mainly near the center of the island, which increases the difficulty. The leader comments that the goblins' lair is on the other side of the island, since they appear first in the mines, then in the village, and finally at the port. He asks Lorraine to ask Anna for tips, who has an easy time defeating goblins. Lorraine feels a bit uncomfortable because she is used to starfish and crab-type monsters, not humanoid creatures, but receives instructions to focus on common goblins. Anna speaks very directly to Lorraine. Don't think, just kill. Lorraine is surprised, but ends up following the group toward the village near the mines. Soon after, Lorraine appears facing a goblin and defeats it without hesitation, showing that she is trying to follow Anna's advice. The group keeps advancing, already defeating the 10th goblin. Lorraine is a little bothered by the blood, but Anna praises her for her strength, saying it's amazing to manage to defeat goblins with a single strike. Even so, Lorraine feels a bit torn about it, but thanks her. In the end, they can see the village in the distance and move on. Rouge decides to go alone to greet the village chief while asking the rest of the group to rest a bit, mainly because of Lorraine. He asks that, if any enemy appears, the others handle it as a group. Meanwhile, Hastiel comments that Rouge acts as if he already knew the whole place, as if he had inherited knowledge from the sage. Or maybe it is divine guidance from Suliran. Anna is confused about this god, showing that she doesn't know much about the subject. The group talks about Suliran, the god of light, considered the strongest and revered mainly in the Holy Light Kingdom. They comment that in the Pendragon Kingdom faith is not so common, especially among people who are not nobles. Suliran is seen as the one who governs life and light, besides being responsible for creating other gods, dragons, and powers. Even the adventurer's spells and abilities are considered gifts from this god. Lorraine is surprised, asking if that includes thief abilities, but Rouge says it probably does, even though he is not a priest to state it for sure. The group rents a small room at the edge of the village to spend the night. Everyone gets ready to sleep, but the leader ends up waking up early and switches shifts with Hastile, saying he couldn't sleep. Hastile realizes that the leader is also nervous about the mission. Hastile is sitting next to the leader, looking at the starry sky. He says he is not nervous, but he feels the weight of his own expectations, since he has always dreamed of being an adventurer. The leader asks if he has been practicing the Shukuchi technique, and Hastile assures that he has, saying he trained a lot. The leader comments that using this technique, he should be able to defeat the Goblin King. The leader warns that Hastile will have only one chance to act against the enemy. He explains that this enemy is on a totally different level from anything they have faced so far, so Hastile needs to be totally focused the next day. Afterwards, Hastile grows thoughtful as he gets ready to sleep, taking the leader's words seriously. The next day, already on the other side of the island, Anna attacks a goblin with her fire arrow magic. She casts the spell while the goblin runs toward her, but she dodges easily and is calm after the attack. Lorraine and Anna continue facing the goblins together, already getting the hang of the combat. Lorraine hands a goblin ear to the leader, who thanks her. They realize that the goblins are getting stronger and stronger, and one of them even tried to attack Anna from behind. Even so, Lorraine decides that this is not the time to complain about blood, since the situation is only getting more serious. The group comes across a goblin leader, accompanied by other goblins. The team leader warns that he will leave this fight to them, and everyone is already getting ready for the battle. Rouge takes the front, raises his shield, and challenges the enemy, ready to hold the goblin leader's attack, while the rest of the group positions themselves for the fight. Lorraine takes the moment to approach unseen and surprises one of the goblins. She shows that she has much more stealth skill than the enemy expected, attacking quickly and taking the goblin down with precision. She feels confident, showing that she is getting better and better in the group's thief role. Anna casts her fire magic while the others face the goblins on the front line. Rouge advances, protecting the group with the shield, and faces the goblin leader on equal footing. The fight becomes intense, but the group shows they are in sync, each one fulfilling their role in attack and defense. The group realizes they have already defeated 20 common goblins and comments how the battle was smooth thanks to their good coordination. While they talk, Hastile calls the leader and shows a path from which the goblins were coming, indicating that there may be more danger ahead. The group finds the goblins' lair but realizes it looks more like a village, full of common goblins, archers, and leaders. They grow tense when they see that the goblins are even drawing people, showing a more organized side of the enemy. The leader then decides that the objective is to hunt them, surprising the rest of the group. The leader says that this time, he himself will take part in the fight, leaving the group surprised. He realizes that the number of goblins there would require several clans to handle. Before they can think of a plan, Lorraine realizes they have been discovered, and some goblins are already coming toward them. The leader uses a powerful magic called Thunderstorm, and a giant bolt strikes the goblins, taking several down at once. Rouge gets ready to advance, with his sword in hand, a bit nervous. The leader, confident, warns that the hunt starts now and calls everyone to move forward. The goblins appear in great number. Alec gives the orders. Rouge draws the leader's attention, and Anna starts attacking several enemies with magic. Rouge advances in front, ready for the clash, while the goblins rush in. Rouge creates a barrier to protect himself. Alec tells Lorraine to attack from behind the goblins, taking the rear. Alec asks Hastile to protect Anna, warning that he will now provide support from afar until he manages to create an opportunity to attack. Alec tells Hastile that he believes in him, leaving his friend surprised but confident. The fight continues intense, with Rouge holding the goblins' advance, even while being surrounded by many of them. Rouge strives not to let the goblins through, using his shield to push several of them away at once. Anna soon takes advantage of the opening and casts a firestorm, hitting many enemies at once. Rouge is impressed by Anna's power, but soon notices a danger on the left side. He thanks Lorraine for helping and realizes that a goblin shaman fired a fire arrow, but he still can't identify where the attack came from. Rouge realizes there are still more goblins coming, but even so, he manages to hold the front line. He gets excited, thinks he is doing well, and feels that he will overcome this challenge and become even stronger. Rouge calls the goblins onto himself, holding the shield firm, but he feels the impact of this new enemy's attacks, which are much stronger than the previous leaders. He asks for healing and protection while resisting the blows. Rouge manages to block the enemy's attack with a shield swing, thinking that Alec's support spells are saving him. The leader keeps spirited, protecting and healing while casting spells like Lightning Bolt, and Anna creates a firewall to hold the goblins' advance. The Goblin King finally appears, imposing with a crown and sword in his hands. The group's leader stays alert and already recognizes that this is the real challenge, getting ready to face the island's boss. The group grows tense with the Goblin King's presence, but the leader asks everyone to hold on for 2 more minutes. He He tells Hastile to start getting ready, showing that everyone needs to hold the line until the right time to attack. The battle becomes intense, with several goblins attacking together. The warrior holds the monster's assault, but notices the Goblin King's danger. Meanwhile, Lorraine sees a chance and begins to approach stealthily to try to catch the boss off guard from behind. The Goblin King attacks with force and sends the warrior flying. Lorraine and the group are worried whether they will manage to hold on for 2 more minutes, but they receive new instructions. The leader asks Anna to create a wall of fire in the center to try to hold the enemy's advance, and she quickly replies that she will do that. Anna summons a wall of fire right in the middle of the battle, separating the allies from the goblins and trying to hold the advance. Meanwhile, Hastile takes a deep breath and tries to concentrate, getting ready to use his special move and focusing his spirit so he won't miss. Hastile positions himself and enters combat mode, focused on the right moment to attack. The leader warns him not to miss the timing and casts an enchantment on his weapon. Hastile's hand begins to shine with energy as he gets ready to move forward in the fight. Hastile is in doubt whether he will really manage it, because until then, he had only trained by throwing stones, unlike the others. The leader looks at him and says that now, it only depends on whether he believes or not. In the scene, the Goblin King is ready to attack, and the whole group waits for the right moment, until the leader shouts, "Now!" As soon as the leader shouts, Hastile charges with everything, using Shikuchi to gain speed. He moves super fast and gets very close to the Goblin King, ready to strike. Hastile lands a direct blow on the Goblin King's back, even cracking some stones on the ground. Everyone is surprised by his strength, and the girls watch as Hastile already turns, prepared for whatever comes next. Hastile celebrates, laughing loudly and saying that he did it. The group praises him, saying he was the MVP of the day. He then asks to be called Hattie, since that's what his friends call him. The leader agrees and says, "Good job, Hattie." Everyone happy with the victory. The group celebrates with a fist bump between the leader and Hastile, recognizing him as a finisher and sub-tank. Suddenly, Lorraine shows the Goblin King's crown that she took, saying she found a treasure. The leader is surprised, and she explains that she stole it before Hastile finished, saying it's worth 20,000 coins. Rouge gets jealous, asking the leader to treat her as a friend too, and the group gets into those friendly rivalry jokes, but all in good fun. Rouge asks Hattie to start speaking more casually with her, and even says that now she will be his rival. The group jokes around. Hastile asks if they weren't companions, and the mood stays light. Anna comments that she feels a little sorry for the goblins, but the leader explains that they are monsters, that they soon replenish their numbers, and even the Goblin King should return the following month, so she doesn't need to worry so much. The group returns to the White Wisdom clan headquarters. Everyone arrives excited and is welcomed by Mary, who gives them a warm welcome. The leader already asks if anything happened while they were away. Mary looks a bit worried and begins to explain, but before that, Alec appears and gets everyone's attention. The group is surprised to see Gilly back. He arrives with new clothes and everyone notices. They ask if he managed to change class to sniper, and he confirms. The folks are curious about the new clothes, and he explains that he got them during the trip to the royal capital, when he was attacked, along with a caravan, by 30 bandits. Gilly says that they had a very skilled swordsman protecting the caravan, but even so, he helped in the fight against the bandits. Afterwards, as thanks, he received a special scarf from this swordsman. On the way back, he even faced 2 wyverns when he was going with the same caravan, but says it wasn't even that difficult. The people are surprised, since wyverns don't usually appear near the capital, but Gilly just jokes, saying that maybe they came from somewhere else. In the end, he comments that he even managed to get revenge for an old childhood fight, and also got a rare item from a grateful merchant. In the middle of the conversation, one of the staff appears and informs that guests known to Gilly and Alec have arrived. They are surprised, but go to the room and find 2 visitors sitting on the sofa. One of them is super at ease, drinking tea, and the other seems more serious. When the group enters, they recognize Alec, and the mood becomes somewhat surprised, as if no one expected this meeting. As soon as they enter the room, the group meets Hans and Kane again. Hans is relieved to see that everyone is okay, especially Anna, and even gets emotional with the reunion. Kane is introduced as a bard who always visited the village, while Hans was the merchant responsible for selling the potions created in the village. Everyone is happy, and the mood is one of relief after so much confusion. Kane says that he found Hans in the capital, and they decided to visit the old village together. When they got there, they saw that the village was destroyed, but they did not find bodies. Since they had already come from the capital, they figured that if anyone had survived, they would be in Volks. Hans takes the opportunity to say that he was looking for a new place to sell the potions. Kane praises Alec for what he did and says that he was happy to see everyone well. Then, Kane says that he already needs to leave, even having just arrived, and says goodbye to Gilly and Anna, wishing them to stay safe. Before leaving, Kane says he is going to the Cars Empire. He says he can find out certain things precisely because he has no fixed routes, and he promises to inform them if he discovers something important. Before departing, Kane warns Alec to be careful with the black dog. Alec grows thoughtful with this warning. After that, Kane leaves, leaving the promise of perhaps meeting them again, together with Abby next time. Kane was a guy who never stayed long in the same place, always moving forward as if he were the wind. He knew a lot about the world, so he even seemed like someone reincarnated. Only that, despite all this knowledge, he knew nothing about Japan or Europe. He only understood the things of that world itself. Even though he was not a reincarnated person, Kane was a trustworthy friend. The people comment that he always managed to get by, even in the most complicated situations. Although someone gets a little worried about him going to the Empire, they end up remembering that Kane is the type who knows how to run away when the danger tightens, so he will probably be fine. Hans is lost, with nowhere to return, and almost no luggage since he lost his house. Even so, he only thought about the safety of others. Meanwhile, the girl is worried about him, since Hans seems not to care about himself. Then, the idea arises for Hans to join her clan, since he is a merchant and could sell the items and potions she makes, just as he already helped in Kettle Village. Hans accepts the proposal, and says that he can help indeed. The group makes it clear that they need his skills, and Hans gets excited about the invitation. Mary offers to prepare a room for him, and everyone comments that if he can help take care of the clan's tasks, along with Mary and her sister, it will already be a great help. Hans is relieved and promises to do his best. Hans comments that when the girl is around, he feels as if he had returned to Kettle Village. He realizes that in this world, things work differently. To expand a clan, it is necessary to have merchants and craftsmen, since this brings money. He keeps thinking why people don't become guardians, and why no one knows explosive techniques like the Hadoken. He suspects that maybe it's because everyone only imitated the grandfather's group, which never had craftsmen. Hans begins to suspect that someone is trying to weaken the adventurers. He asks if anyone has already investigated this, and the answer is that yes, they have already taken a look at this matter. The elder explains that the ducal family did not know about the death of the sage of Kettle Village 7 years ago. This confirms his suspicions. To make matters worse, no official report came out about the attack on the village. Now, they need to ensure the administration of Volks, and this initial task was entrusted to the other character, since the eldest son takes care of the affairs of Kettle Village. The man comments that his son had sent an official to Kettle Village, but this official was replaced by someone else about 7 years ago. He does not understand the reason for this, since the village records arrived, but the official did not notice the importance of the sage's death. He suspects that it may be the work of the Empire, since he does not believe that his son is involved and that he should have received reports directly. They discuss who could be behind what happened in Kettle Village. They think that if it were the Empire, they would have attacked right after the sage's death, so they find this unlikely. One of them then suspects the royal capital of the Pendragon Kingdom itself, since the news of the death of the sage, who was a great adventurer and guardian, would cause more problems there than elsewhere. They realize that someone has another motive behind all this, and decide that they need to talk to the lord of that region. They suspect that there may be a force acting behind the scenes that they still do not understand properly. While the news of the sage's death continues to spread, they agree that the best thing is to prepare for possible actions by the Empire. Felicia Black, known as the Black Dog, is the leader of the Cerberus Special Forces. She is a difficult enemy, famous for using unexpected surprise attacks, different from the Empire's direct style. They conclude that if Felicia learns of the sage's death, it is practically certain that the Empire attacked Kettle Village by her order. Felicia realizes that the situation has become complicated. The group comments about the Tenryu Festival, which celebrates the celestial dragon and its achievements in saving humanity by sealing the demon. Felicia gives a crooked smile, showing that she has some plan in mind. The story ends with the promise of continuation. The group managed to defeat the Goblin King on Goblin Island. After that, they continued facing bosses and leveled up a lot. Patty became much more confident, and this encouraged the other two as well. In the end, everyone reached level 30, the Dark Mage at 33, the Swordsman at 32, the Thief at 31, and the Martial Artist at 30. The group realizes that gathering everyone with similar levels was a good idea, so no one gets left behind. Alec is busy, but his potions are successful and receive many orders. Hans says that everything is under control and hands another order form to Alec, showing that his potions are very popular among everyone. Alec comments that, even so, they are refusing large orders because they cannot handle them. He appreciates the income, but he is overworked. Suddenly, a Nidus enters in a hurry, apologizes for the intrusion, and asks if he is Alec, surprising everyone. The Nidus introduces herself as Henrietta Pendragon, daughter of Lord Volks, and leader of the Silver Wyvern clan, which is high level. Alec is surprised to hear the surname Pendragon, while Henrietta's sister tries to calm the situation by saying that they are not a threat. Alec receives Henrietta and her group to talk. They comment on how the clan has received many visitors lately. Polk, Henrietta's younger brother, introduces her again, saying that she is the leader of Silver Wyvern and the shield of the group, a holy knight. Polk also explains that their father is strict in training, and that Henrietta is not just a decorative duke's daughter, since it is rare to see a noble on the front line. The group introduces themselves, saying that the mage is the sub-leader, and the butler is a high-level monk. They comment about the Celestial Dragon Festival, which takes place next month and honors the dragon that sealed the Demon Duke, an enemy that attacked Volks. Alec remembers that in the game this festival was recurring. Although it is just a common festival, crimes usually increase at this time, so they were assigned to protect a clan linked to Volks. They ask for the cooperation of the White Wisdom Group to help with security during the festival. Alec agrees, since the group is also an ally of Volks. Polk and Henrietta shake hands as a sign of partnership, and she promises to take good care of the group as the daughter of Lord Volks and an experienced adventurer. Alec realizes that, despite seeming like common adventurers, the group really came as envoys of the Lord. The butler Seth realizes that Henrietta is hiding a true objective beyond the official mission. He questions her discreetly, leaving her surprised, while Alec watches without quite understanding what it is about. The butler, Seth, asks for Alec's autograph, saying that it is for Henrietta, who is very embarrassed with the situation. Alec is surprised by the request, while Seth explains that Henrietta greatly admires Alec, since he has been standing out lately. Seth explains that he thought it best to tell Alec about Henrietta's admiration, because this can be useful. Henrietta gets super embarrassed, but Alec says that he can sign as many autographs as she wants. In the end, Henrietta says goodbye all shy, and says that she will be back soon, leaving the mood light and fun. Alec thanks for the tea and praises it, but finds the group of visitors kind of strange. He thinks that Henrietta just seemed curious, despite carrying the Pendragon surname, which would normally indicate royal blood. Even so, he feels that her manner is quite different from what he imagined for someone with that name. In the end, Alec remembers that he needs to get back to making potions. The next day, one of the members delivers the tools that Alec requested. Alec thanks him and asks him to leave the material there. The boy comments that Alec does several types of work and asks why he also decided to become an alchemist. Alec replies that he wanted to make money, since selling only materials would not be enough after he left the village. Alec suggests discussing which advanced classes each one will evolve into, since everyone has passed level 30. They realize that alchemy, if improved, can also be useful in combat. One of the friends says that he will become a guardian to be the group's tank, while another was only thinking about the skills he wanted. The group gets excited, surprised that they have leveled up so much. Alec reveals that he wants to go to the necromancer class, surprising his friends. He explains that, although many thought he wanted to be a sage, he always planned to be a necromancer, because it was a suggestion from his grandfather. Alec shows that if someone evolves both white mage and black mage to level 30, they can become a sage, but he is really focused on the necromancer, which specializes in summoning undead and causing negative statuses. They talk about the advanced classes, and Alec explains that by training alchemist along with the other classes, it is possible to unlock special items for necromancer alchemists. Afterwards, they ask Anna what her goal is, and she says that she wants to get stronger. They find out that for those who evolve Black Mage to level 50, the best choice is to become a wizard, a class focused on offensive magic. Anna says she prefers to become a wizard because she finds undead scary, besides wanting to get strong to protect her brother. Alec agrees that it is better to have someone in the group focused on attack. Another girl is in doubt between the advanced thief classes, while the friend reveals that, despite always wanting to be a knight, he decided to become a guardian after hearing Alec, but he does not intend to change his mind. They explain that, by evolving Hunter to level 50 together with Thief at level 30, it is possible to become a treasure hunter, a class focused on finding treasures. They also say that if the Thief reaches level 50, they can become an assassin, a class focused on stealth and attack. The girl finds it interesting to be a treasure hunter, since she can obtain treasures, and accepts the vice leader as a mentor. Alec comments that, for those who will stay on the front line, it is better to focus on attack. Alec explains that for martial artists, the main advanced option is to become a fist saint upon reaching level 50. For Lorraine, who is good at stealth, the assassin class would be a good choice. One of the friends asks about becoming a monk, but is not excited about the idea, so they decide to focus on offensive classes instead. The group agrees that they can handle bosses on their own and continue evolving their skills together. Alec and the group realize that they have managed to assemble a well-balanced team, with roles divided between vanguard, support, and rearguard. Alec thinks that maybe he influenced the team's choices too much, but now the focus is on the next challenge, defeating the boss of the dungeon called Underground Tomb the next day. The group manages to defeat the White King, a skeleton boss. After the battle, they go excited to open the treasure chest, since the goal this time was not to level up, but to obtain rare items and rewards. Everyone is curious to know what they found in the chest. While the group explores the dungeon, Alec feels a strange presence and grows thoughtful, thinking that maybe he is just imagining things. Even so, he cannot shake the weird feeling while he continues with his friends. The group appears running hurriedly through the forest, all with frightened or tense expressions. It is clear that they are fleeing from something, probably after some unforeseen event or danger during the adventure. Hans looks for Alec to talk, visibly worried. He explains that the potions have become so popular that now sales may be banned. Alec is surprised by the situation and begins to analyze the documents about the possible ban. Alec comments that the prices of potions outside the shop are sky high, even doubling in value. Hans explains that merchants are raising prices to the maximum because even people from outside are buying, so everyone ends up accepting it. Alec realizes that this can be bad for the people of Volks. Meanwhile, Henrietta wonders if her father is aware of the prices, but the butler believes that he is and has not seen a problem with it so far. Henrietta shows up to see how the new clan is doing, as she had promised. Alec asks if she has that much free time. Meanwhile, Hans explains that potions may be banned because they are too cheap and selling too much, but selling small quantities in remote areas is still allowed. He says that at that very moment there are about 2,000 open orders, showing the size of the demand. Hans says that he received a notice from the Alchemy Guild, requiring that they only sell potions in batches of 2,000 units. Alec is frustrated because he cannot produce in such quantity without sacrificing his hunting time. He realizes that the guild and the merchants are trying to prevent sales at normal prices, forcing mass production to make it difficult for those who make potions alone. Alec does not want to exploit ordinary citizens, but he also does not want to be harmed by the rules. Henrietta suggests that Alec simply produce more potions or hire helpers, but he explains that he cannot produce that much, and that all the alchemists in the city are controlled by the Alchemy Guild, so it is not even possible to hire someone without going through them. Then Henrietta proposes that Alec could train his own apprentices, raising a new possibility for the group. The group reminds Alec that he is good at training people, as he did with Anna and Hati. Alec realizes that if he trains apprentices from scratch, he does not need to go through the guild. He decides that maybe it is worth trying, exciting Hans and Henrietta. Alec also remembers an old piece of advice. Use what you know to help the world. Alec decides that he will look for some people to train as apprentices. He asks that, if the Alchemy Guild complains, Henrietta can help him by speaking well of him. Hans watches the scene and thinks that, although Henrietta sometimes seems distracted, she is more reliable than he imagined. A few days later, Alec is walking around the city, carrying equipment for the dungeon and crafting items for beginners. He ends up bumping into someone by accident, apologizes, and the other person replies that it was nothing, not caring much about the incident. After the bump, a young man recognizes Alec and asks in surprise if he is Alec from the White Wisdom group. The girl next to him also watches the scene, curious about the encounter. The young man introduces himself as Ryuto, leader of the Golden Sword clan, the only mithril-class clan in Volks. Alec is surprised to realize who he bumped into, since this is a well-respected clan in the region. Ryuto introduces Maria, the vice leader of the Golden Sword clan and one of the few priestesses capable of using resurrection magic in the Pendragon Kingdom. He comments that he heard about Alec through Henrietta, who is a fan of his. Alec is surprised to realize that Henrietta was already talking about him to other clans. Ryuto asks if the White Wisdom clan will take part in the preparations for the Tenryu festival this year. Alec confirms, but says that the clan is still silver class, not advanced. Ryuto explains that soon there will be a banquet for the strongest clans, like a social gathering, and says that he really wants to see White Wisdom participate as well. Alec denies that he is thinking of ranking up so quickly, but Ryuto already imagines that this will happen soon. Ryuto becomes serious and says that he has something important to discuss with Alec. Before that, he already gets excited and says that he will send the invitation for the event immediately, leaving Alec a bit surprised and curious about the matter. A few days later, Alec receives an invitation letter from the Golden Sword clan, leaving everyone surprised. The group gets ready for the event, putting on elegant clothes to attend the banquet, curious about what will happen there. Alec's group arrives at the Noble District, in front of the Golden Sword clan's mansion. They get out of the carriage, dressed formally, ready to attend the banquet, still a little nervous and curious about what they will find inside. As soon as they arrive, they explain that Alec must get out of the carriage first, followed by Anna and then the others, showing that etiquette rules are taken seriously. There, because it is the noble district, Alec finds it strange but follows the instructions. He notices Maria near another carriage and stays alert to the environment, while the group is reminded to ask if they have any doubts about good manners at the place. Maria greets the group excitedly, saying she was waiting for them. Alec comments that he had never been invited by Henrietta before. Maria, used to these events, leads the group through the hall and asks them to follow her. Ryuto also appears, greeting everyone as the group heads into the mansion for the start of the banquet. Ryuto welcomes Alec and his group warmly, asking them not to be so nervous. He suggests that everyone make a brief introduction, and after that, each one can enjoy the banquet as they wish. The mood becomes more relaxed, with people talking, eating, and meeting other guests. Alec looks for a non-alcoholic drink and ends up finding Maria, who notices that he is a bit lost. She explains that it is enough to tell one of the servants, and they bring juice. Alec asks if Maria always takes such good care of new clans like that, not just his group. Maria replies that it is important to help and give tips about etiquette, such as the order of eating appetizers before the main course. Alec also comments, a bit embarrassed, that he heard she was a fan of his because of Henrietta. Maria replies that protecting Volks is the duty of veteran clans, and that it makes no sense for clans to be in conflict with each other. She explains that it is also important to train the new generation to ensure that veterans can retire in peace. Alec praises her attitude, saying that she is very kind. Henrietta arrives, and Alec goes to talk to her, but soon Ryuto appears and calls Alec to a more private corner. There, Ryuto reveals something serious. He received information that a divine revelation fell in the Holy Light Kingdom to the west, and that next month a great calamity will happen in Volks. Alec is shocked by the news. Ryuto asks Alec to avoid going on expeditions for a while, as he does not know exactly what calamity may happen, but he receives serious prophecies from the Holy Light Kingdom. Meanwhile, Alec and Henrietta discuss the Tenryu festival and discover, from ancient documents, that the festival's purpose was to maintain the celestial dragon's seal. If the magic offering is not carried out correctly, the seal can break, and the reappearance of the Demon Duke would become a real threat. Ryuto explains that the calamity foretold by the divine revelation is the resurrection of the Demon Duke. He reveals that the true purpose of the festival was to maintain the magic seal, and if that seal is broken, the Demon Duke can return. Henrietta is shocked, since if that happens, Volks will be destroyed. Ryuto also comments that the Demon Duke is not just a common monster, but a demon god that not even the celestial dragon managed to defeat completely, leaving everyone worried about the future. Henrietta is speechless when she realizes that Volks does not have the strength to face the Demon Duke. Alec thinks for a moment and says that even without being able to defeat the enemy, there is still hope. Then he suggests directly to Ryuto and Henrietta that they themselves try to seal the Demon Duke again, surprising everyone with his proposal. Ryuto asks if it is all right, and if Alec really wants him to join them. Alec says that if everyone joins forces, it might be possible to seal the Demon Duke. He remembers that this challenge is the same as a game event, aimed at high-level players, where it was only possible to win with the best equipment. Alec grows thoughtful, but believes that if he is right, maybe they can save the city. Ryuto volunteers to be the candidate for the item needed for the seal. Henrietta is assigned the mission of obtaining weapons and armor with the holy attribute for her group. Alec says that he will inform the other members and asks that they do not inform the residents, suggesting gathering everyone at the port to avoid panic. Henrietta's father will be responsible for command. Alec's group will research ways to weaken the enemy and prepare the sealing ritual. The group discovers that there is only 1 month left until the calamity happens. Everyone agrees to give their all to solve the situation, since losing their homes would be a big problem. Henrietta guarantees that she will help as much as possible. Ryuto is pleased to have consulted Alec and praises his knowledge. Henrietta then runs off to inform the others about the next steps. Ryuto comments that if they defeat the Demon Duke, White Wisdom will become even stronger and more reliable than Golden Sword. He says that soon he wants to retire and live a quieter life. Alec is surprised when Ryuto reveals that after the Dragon Festival, he intends to propose to Maria. Alec becomes worried and asks everyone to be careful during the Dragon Festival. Soon after, Henrietta calls the two for a meeting, ending the party. After that, everyone gets busy with preparations and meetings for the next events. While everyone gets ready to face the Demon Duke, Alec also takes care of day-to-day tasks, such as training alchemists, preparing potions, studying spells, and helping the group to evolve. The routine becomes divided between preparations for the fight and the village's normal commitments. Alec and the group arrive at the sealed sanctuary. He realizes that the seal is starting to weaken, so he decides to prepare magical barriers around the place. After researching a lot, he finds in the books a kind of gimmick called a barrier, which can be adapted to weaken the Demon Duke if it works the right way. Alec explains that, in the game, creating the barrier was easy, but there it was much more complicated, like math. He decides to position the barriers around Volks, since the sanctuary is outside the city, to protect the whole place. They agree to start the activation from the south. Before the battle, someone suggests cheering up the group with a meal. Everyone ends up gathering and dining together, creating a lighter atmosphere before the challenge. The protagonist thinks about how the last month has been difficult, but is happy that everyone has stayed together. He gives a summary of the levels of his skills. The group confirms that the sanctuary was checked and that there is no doubt that the Demon Duke will be resurrected. Tomorrow is the Celestial Dragon Festival, so they decide to rest well to be ready for the battle, since it will be difficult. The group makes a lively toast, celebrating together before the important battle. Everyone is gathered at the table, some smiling and others more serious, enjoying the moment. The group comments on how tough the vice leader's training was, but everyone managed to pass level 40. They say that now they feel ready even to face experienced adventurers. Anna was the one who dedicated herself the most, and everyone recognizes how much they have grown together. They are surprised because Anna not only increased black magic a lot, but also raised white magic quite a bit. She used many mana potions for that, which causes a small misunderstanding about who authorized giving the potions to her. Alec asks why Anna requested mana potions, and Lorraine explains that she was the one who asked Anna to ask. Anna was very anxious and said she wanted to get stronger quickly. Hati adds that with the mana potions, Anna could evolve much more easily. During the conversation, Lorraine explains that Anna wanted to level up white magic, and that is why she wanted the potions. She used her own salary money to buy just a few, but then Hans found out and started deducting directly from her payment to give the potions, apologizing for not having informed Alec beforehand. Alec wonders why Anna wanted to focus so much on white magic if she was already evolving in black magic to become a mage. Anna says that she decided to become a sage because she heard from Gilly that her older brother leveled the sage class up to level 35, thus being able to use resurrection magic in case of emergency. She says that she always trusts her brother's advice, especially when choosing a class. The group thanks him, saying that it was thanks to Alec that everyone got stronger. Anna thinks about the reason for wanting to become stronger. She realizes that it is not to defeat enemies or to feel safe, but to protect and not let anything be taken from her again. She feels that just being a mage would not be enough to help her brother, since he does not even consider the possibility of dying, and therefore she wants to be strong to protect those she loves. Alec tries to console her by saying that she already helps a lot. Anna says that even if she can protect herself, if her brother dies, no one will be able to bring him back to life. She says she does not want to lose anyone else from the family, and that she also wants to protect Alec, not just depend on Maria. Alec is surprised and calls her by name, feeling the weight of her words. Alec admits that he was trying to stabilize the group too quickly, but says that if that was Anna's decision, it is all right. He says he is not angry, and even reinforces that she is no longer someone who needs to be protected all the time. Then, he says that he will trust Gilly and Anna, and everyone commits to protecting each other from then on. The mood at the table became lively and everyone seemed much more relaxed. Alec realizes that he was the only one who did not learn about things, and asks that next time they consult him before making decisions. In the end, he thinks that he may need to take the lead again to organize things better. Night falls, and the city becomes silent. During the night, some stones with symbols begin to shine brightly near the city and in the forest. A strange energy seems to be activating these stones, indicating that something important or dangerous is about to happen. Alec and the group are running desperately through the forest, worried about time. Alec realizes that, the way things are, they will not be able to prevent the Demon Duke's rebirth in time. The atmosphere is urgent, showing that the situation has really become critical. A soldier arrives, running to inform Alec that part of the western barrier was destroyed, news brought by the patrol of the Silver Wyvern group. Alec is surprised and asks what happened. The atmosphere becomes tense when he realizes that only 4 hours remain until the Demon Duke's rebirth. Without wasting time, Alec tells everyone to hurry and go to the place immediately. Alec says that they need to hurry to fix the barrier before the Demon Duke awakens. The atmosphere becomes heavy when one of the companions notices something strange and says directly to another person, "You are not hiding your intention to kill." Alec's group advances through the forest, but ends up running into another group. A mysterious woman, looking down from a bluff, comments with a smile that, "It seems there are skilled people around there." The atmosphere becomes tense, and it hints that a confrontation is coming. The rival group provokes, saying that Alec is nothing like their cowardly leader. Alec realizes that everyone there has advanced equipment and recognizes a high-class mage among them, which shows that they are really strong. He asks if they were the ones responsible for breaking the barrier, while the woman mocks, saying that just by looking she can already see that they have a connection with a powerful sage. The tension continues, with an imminent confrontation. Alec asks what the woman would do if he had broken the barrier. One of the enemies notices that Alec has black hair and eyes, just like him, and questions whether Alec grew up without knowing anything about that. The woman seems surprised to notice this detail, not quite understanding the connection. The atmosphere becomes full of doubts, showing that there is something more about Alec's origin. The woman jumps to attack and shouts that she herself is going to kill Alec. He perceives the attack and warns the group they're coming. The confrontation begins, with the enemies charging at them. The group quickly organizes for battle. Rouge holds the enemy knights, while Anna attacks, and Lorraine gives support. Hati keeps another enemy occupied, with Lorraine's help. The villains underestimate them, calling them fools, and saying that it is not possible to win with only low-level classes. Alec replies that, with a counter-type knight and a support like the Abyss Child, they can hold well. The enemy says that, actually, it would be more complicated for them if she herself, the demon sorcerer, entered the fight. She begins to question where the group learned so much about equipment and barriers, since this kind of thing does not exist in their country. Alec is surprised, but she counters by saying that this line also applies to her. The enemy looks suspiciously at Alec and drops the question, "Don't tell me, you are a reincarnated one?" Alec and the other are surprised, but she just makes a mocking face and replies with a, "Ha," not believing much. The woman says that she will leave Alec half dead to make him talk, but he does not respond clearly. She gets ready to attack, summoning a spell and challenging, "Come on." Alec and the other already take a combat stance, ready for the fight that is about to begin. The woman summons a creature called Blood Demon, and right after uses an assimilation ability, absorbing the monster, and becoming even stronger. The others watch the transformation with concern, realizing that she is becoming dangerous. The warrior in dark armor advances in silence, swinging his weapon with force. The blonde knight is surprised by the attack, blocks with his shield, and thinks that guy is pretty strange for not saying anything. The black-hooded mage appears in the forest, drawing the others' attention. A man points at her, finding it strange. Suddenly, she easily dodges an attack, and the blonde girl watches the scene in surprise. The boy celebrates managing to use finger shot and says excitedly that now he can help the group more. Lorraine warns them to keep their defense up and not let their guard down. Meanwhile, they worry about the whereabouts of the older brother and of Gilly. The group is surprised to see the girl in black using a demon sorceress ability called assimilation. She shares strength and endurance with the frontline demon, practically becoming one with the creature. They also share the damage received, but the demon can heal both with its abilities. The group splits up to face the enemy. One of them asks Gilly to hold the demon, and she agrees. The girl in black approaches and challenges one of the members to a direct duel, making it clear that now it is one-on-one. The archer launches a powerful attack at the demon to hold it. Meanwhile, the girl in black advances and begins an intense exchange of close-range blows with her opponent, giving no room for rest. During the fight, the boy praises the opponent's strength and realizes that she relies more on magic, which is why she chose the assimilation ability. The girl in black acknowledges that she does not have much physical strength. After a moment of pause, both prepare to continue the combat. The boy warns that he is going to show his secret move. He prepares and suddenly strikes his own stomach hard, leaving the girl in black shocked by the unexpected action. The boy uses alchemy to create a homunculus in night form, activating night mode. The girl in black is surprised to realize that he can use that kind of magic. The boy explains that he trained alchemy not only to make potions, but also to create the homunculus seed. He reveals that each homunculus costs a lot, but he is ready to use it anyway. The girl in black, determined, says that she is going to destroy that doll quickly. The girl in black attacks with everything, but the boy uses various protection spells, speed boosts, and barriers to defend himself. He also reinforces his weapon with magic, getting ready for the next round of the fight. The girl in black tries to land several quick blows on the knight homunculus, but he blocks and counterattacks with force. She struggles to dodge and realizes that it won't be easy to take the puppet down. The homunculus tries to restrain the girl in black, but she manages to break free. He then uses spells to try to weaken and hinder the opponent, who starts to get irritated with so much difficulty in defeating the puppet. The girl in black decides to end the fight quickly and activates the Impure Soul ability, which cuts her life in half and greatly increases her attack power, adding the demon's energy on top of that. The boy notices the danger and tries to act, but she already charges, shouting, "Take this!" The girl in black attacks with full force using her ability. She grabs the boy, convinced that she will win, and declares that this is the end. But the homunculus is still ready to fight, leaving the situation undecided. The girl in black is surprised by an attack from the homunculus and falls to the ground, not understanding what happened. She asks the reason, but the boy only replies with a smile, saying that he won't tell her the secret. The boy explains that the homunculus is a magical creature and can only be healed using a mind potion or by sharing his own mental power with the energy injection technique. He reveals that it was a risk, but he managed to heal the homunculus at the last second before it was defeated, narrowly saving the situation. The boy smiles and says that he stayed one step ahead in the fight. The girl in black gets irritated, realizing she was outplayed in strategy. The girl in black begins to feel the negative effects of her own impure soul ability and looks visibly tired. The boy decides to end the fight at once and sends the homunculus to attack, to settle everything and still fix the barrier afterward. The girl in black runs toward the demon called Blood Demon, trying to recover. The boy notices that she is using healing magic and gets irritated that she still has the strength to continue fighting. The girl in black reveals that her goal is not to defeat the boy, but just to buy time until the demon lord is revived. The boy understands her plan and realizes that if he does nothing, the city will end up in danger. He suspects that she and the others are soldiers of the Empire. The girl in black attacks again and explains that they are not official soldiers. During the fight, the boy realizes that she became even stronger after using the healing magic. The group tries everything, but realizes that their attack power is not enough to defeat the demon quickly. The boy thinks about creating more homunculi, but hesitates. Then, one of the girls in the group steps forward and says, with determination, that she will resolve the situation. A new group appears in the forest, led by a blonde girl in armor named Henrietta. Everyone is surprised and recognizes her immediately, showing that she is someone important to the situation. The boy recognizes Henrietta as the Duke's daughter, and she confirms her identity. Henrietta points out that now the difference in power between the groups is clear, showing total confidence in her team's strength. The girl in black notices the disadvantage. The girl in black comments that fighting a paladin is complicated. Then she joins her two allies, undoing the assimilation with the demon. The boy notices the change in her appearance, and one of the allies tells her to act, indicating that they will try something new. The mage summons a vein of miasma on the ground, using a technique that strengthens demons and deals damage to other creatures. The group notices the danger, and one of the girls shouts a warning that the demon is coming to attack. Henrietta's group gets ready to hold off the demon's attack. The girl in black, together with her allies, says that that was enough for a test, and that it is better for them to retreat for now. Henrietta asks if they are going to run away, while the boy is surprised by their decision to retreat at this moment. Before retreating, the girl in black introduces herself loudly as Zero and declares that she is the one who will bring despair to everyone. She asks them to remember her name well, marking the threat for the next encounters. The group talks about the enemy's identity and believes that they are agents of the Empire. The protagonist realizes that Zero has a personal grudge against him. Then, they decide to focus on repairing the protective barrier, counting on Polka's help, who guarantees that he will manage to do this in less than an hour. While Polka gets ready to use magic and fix the barrier, Gilly and the others stand guard. One of the group members is worried, thinking the others are taking too long to return, and hopes that everyone comes back safely. The group analyzes the barrier's situation and calculates that the sanctuary should hold for about 20 more minutes. They are worried because if the barrier falls, only Alec and Maria will be able to deal with the dead, but they may not be able to hold the fight alone. Even so, they try to stay calm, remembering that there is still a little time. Suddenly, a giant boulder begins to fall from the sky right on top of the group. Everyone looks up in fright, realizing the danger that is about to hit them. The giant boulder falls hard, destroying part of the sanctuary. The group despairs when they see the debris and wonders if the barrier was broken. Someone starts laughing in a creepy way, showing that the situation has become even more tense. A demon appears before the group, laughing loudly and mocking the humans. He thanks them sarcastically for their effort, showing that he is confident and that now the situation has become even more dangerous for everyone. The demon notices that he is heavier and begins to suspect the reason. Alex smiles when he sees that he managed to repair the barrier in time. The group celebrates, while the demon realizes that it was surrounded by barriers on all sides and threatens to destroy everything, starting with the barrier and then the city. Alec faces the demon and says that he will not let it reach the city. The demon threatens to settle everything later, but Alec insists that they are there precisely to stop it. Even with the threat, the group remains firm and shows no intention of running, ready to fight. The demon decides to face the group and summons several greater demons to fight at his side. He says he will punish everyone for their audacity, while his servants fly toward the group ready for combat. Alec enchants his sword with holy magic and launches an attack called Magic Burst against the demons. He leads the group, asking everyone to follow him, while one of the demons acknowledges that the attack was good. The demons advance as a group, and Alec organizes the defense, asking to minimize damage since they have few healers. He orders each clan to face 3 demons. The group reacts quickly, raising protective barriers and getting ready for battle. The battle becomes intense, with the soldiers facing the demons and trying to withstand the attack. Alec asks everyone to hold on until the rest of the group arrives to help. The mood is tense, while the enemy watches the fight from afar, waiting for the right moment to act. The demon notices the celestial dragon's power coming from the group and wonders who has that power. Alec becomes worried about the situation and remembers that he left the task of sealing the demon lord to Maria, since she is the healer and the most suitable in case he needs to fight as well. Maria holds the sealing stone prepared with this special power. Maria hands the sealing stone to Alec, who is surprised to see the special item. He asks if she really had something like that, showing that he did not expect this extra resource in the battle. The demon attacks Maria from behind and takes the sealing stone. He realizes that the group was betting everything on this stone and understands the reason for the risky battle. Even so, he is intrigued by their boldness in trying to seal him with this power. The demon crushes the sealing stone in his hand, completely destroying the group's hope of sealing him. He throws Maria to the ground and says that now their plans are over, leaving the situation desperate for everyone. The demon faces Alec and promises to make him taste true despair. Alec reacts startled and shouts in anger and frustration as he sees the situation getting worse and worse for the group. The battlefield becomes chaotic, with several demons flying and attacking the group of soldiers who try to resist. Everyone prepares for the worst, since the situation is completely unfavorable and despair takes over the scene. The group watches the desperate scene. Soldiers are brutally defeated by the demons. One of the girls covers her mouth, shocked, while another says that this is far too cruel. The situation becomes increasingly tense and heavy for everyone there. The group notices that Maria is lying on the ground, injured. Everyone is worried to see her like that. One of the girls calls for her brother, showing that the situation is leaving everyone shaken and frightened. The boy says that he is going to revive Maria and asks Gilly and the group to protect him during the spell. Everyone organizes quickly. Anna and others set out to help in the fight against the greater demons, while the team promises not to let Alec get hurt even a little. The mood remains tense, but the group keeps hope. While Alec and the soldiers are tired and near their limit, the demon begins to provoke him, saying that he regrets having fought, since this led to the death of some allies. The demon hints that if Alec runs away now, maybe some can still survive, trying to shake him psychologically. Alec reacts indignant, but feels the weight of the situation. The boy says that he will revive Maria, counting on the support of the Silver Wyvern group. Alec asks everyone to hold on for just one more minute and directs the troops' retreat, reinforcing the defensive barrier on the front line. Everyone organizes quickly to protect Maria while she is healed. The main demon orders one of the greater demons to attack, calling the group's efforts useless. The group gets ready for the clash as the monster advances, and everyone positions themselves to protect Maria during the resurrection spell. During the demon's advance, one of the girls in the group casts a spell called Judgment. A powerful light strikes the enemy, while the soldiers form a barrier around her to ensure everyone's safety, especially Maria's. The Judgment attack defeats the demon instantly. The group watches impressed, and Henrietta smiles confidently, realizing that this is the true power of a holy knight. The boy observes Maria's serious wound, but assures everyone that this time he will be able to bring her back to life. He begins the resurrection spell with confidence, saying that everything will be fine. The boy begins to use his resurrection power. As he channels the magic, Maria's wound begins to close, and her heart starts beating again, showing that the spell is working. Maria comes back to life, coughing hard. The boy quickly asks for a mana potion for her to fully recover. Maria drinks the potion and feels the energy returning, saying Miracle Light. Impressed with what happened, the boy explains that Miracle Light is the most advanced healing magic, capable of bringing someone back to life. Maria realizes that she really died and was resurrected. Without wasting time, she sees that the Golden Sword group is in trouble and says that she needs to go help immediately. Maria receives something to hold and hears that she can return it later. She quickly understands the situation and runs to help, saying that she is ready to support Alec and the group. Everyone is relieved by her arrival. The demon prepares to unleash a powerful attack against the soldiers, but an archer from the group reacts quickly and fires her special ability, Eagle Shot, aiming straight at the enemy to try to stop his attack. While the group casts the Judgment spell to strike the demon, a man takes advantage of the opening and hits the enemy up close with the Nitro Cannon blow. The attack is direct and intense, catching the demon by surprise. During the fight, the group begins to use its original strategy. Everyone uses their strongest abilities, while Alec shares his mana with the allies through the energy injection spell. That way no one runs out of energy, and everyone can fight at full power. Alec drinks several potions to heal himself and keep his mana high, while using energy injection to pass energy to the allies. He explains that he prefers to do this rather than each one drinking a potion in the middle of the fight, because this way the group can attack non-stop. Alec is already used to this method because of training with his grandfather, so he sees no problem with it. One of the allies notes that even if it's a bit strange, the strategy is working very well. The group is excited because they can fight freely without getting tired, thanks to the energy Alec shares with everyone. One of the allies even comments that he has never felt so pumped in a battle. The villain notices the trick and admits that their strategy is very smart, but he keeps an eye on the team's movements. The villain starts to release a poison ability. The group perceives the danger and retreats quickly, activating a magic barrier to protect themselves. Alec observes that, just like in the game, the enemy uses this attack when his life drops below 75%. Alec and the priestess get ready to attack and protect the group. The villain begins to release even more energy, warning that now he will show all his power. The demon changes form and becomes even more frightening, with multiple arms and a dark aura. Alec perceives the danger and tells the Holy Knights to activate the Blessing of Light. Everyone goes on alert, preparing for the next round of the fight. The demon attacks with everything, trying to hit the knights, but they manage to protect themselves inside the magic circle. One of the girls reassures the group, saying that as long as they stay inside the circle, they will avoid fatal blows. Even so, the atmosphere is tense and everyone is ready for the next attack. The warrior takes advantage of an opening and lands a precise counterattack on the demon, nullifying the critical blow. The boy praises her action, excited by the result. The demon, irritated, shouts, calling everyone insignificant beings, but she replies that she is fine and ready to keep fighting. The group activates various defensive and healing spells while maintaining the fight. The protagonist injects magical energy into the allies, thinking that, at this pace, they will be able to defeat the enemy little by little. The demon, surprised, starts to laugh, unable to believe that ordinary humans are managing to turn the tide. The demon, furious, thinks that if the protagonist were not there, the fight would be much easier. He advances quickly and aims a direct attack at the protagonist, who is startled upon noticing the target coming toward him. Alec is surprised to see an attack he does not recognize from the game. Perceiving the danger, someone shouts his name, but the blow hits the ground very close to him, showing that the situation is getting more and more tense. The warrior puts herself in front of Alec, protecting him from the attack that has just been launched. She faces the situation head-on, while Alec watches surprised and worried behind her. Alec asks if the warrior is hurt, but she, even wounded, tries to reassure him and makes a joke, asking why he is so surprised. She holds her own wound, trying to stay firm despite the pain. Even wounded, the warrior holds the injury and reminds Alec that she promised not to let him get hurt. Alec is surprised and somewhat speechless, realizing that she really made him a priority in the battle. Alec looks surprised at Henrietta, wondering if she is really just a fragile girl, but soon realizes that she is much more than that. She shows confidence and reminds Alec that she is the leader of one of the strongest clans. Then she already calls him to get back to the fight, showing that she is not just decoration there. Henrietta pulls Alec back to reality, saying that it is not over yet. Alec gets fired up again and says that they need to defeat the Demon Lord soon to protect the people of Volks. The two already get ready for the next fight, side by side. The Demon Lord stops and watches the group without saying anything. The heroes prepare, forming a defensive line while everyone faces the enemy in the middle of the forest, ready to start the counterattack. Henrietta strikes quickly with her sword, forcing the Demon Lord to retreat and shout for her to get out of the way. She stays alert, seeing the enemy move away and get ready to react. Henrietta tries to block the Demon Lord's attack with her shield, but is hit. Next, the blonde ally launches the nitro cannon straight at the enemy, catching him by surprise. Henrietta receives an energy boost and soon fires her eagle shot, hitting the enemy. Alec realizes that the attacks are dealing more damage now, so he spurs the group on, saying this is their chance. Henrietta takes the opportunity and casts a restraining spell, trying to pin down the Demon Lord. Alec realizes that the Demon Lord is weakened and cannot even reflect restraining magic. He motivates everyone to keep fighting, saying they can win if they keep up the pressure. The Demon Lord, furious, begins to call for reinforcements while trying to withstand the group's assault. The Demon Lord summons several greater demons onto the battlefield. The group is shocked to see so many enemies appearing again, and Alec comments that they will have to defeat them all once more. Alec creates new knight-shaped homunculi to help. The group knows they need to defeat the Demon Duke before the situation gets worse. One of the allies comments that his defense will get weaker, but there is no choice. They prepare support to slay demons and realize that the enemy spent a lot of power on the mass summoning, so they decide to attack as before. The group is caught off guard by a restraining thread launched by the Demon Duke. He taunts, saying that he can handle that kind of magic and promises that even if they let him slip away now, they will pay with their lives later. Everyone stays alert to the new danger. The Demon Duke charges at Alec with the intent to kill him, saying that finishing off humans is easy for him. Alec reacts quickly, uses speed magic and tries to escape, while the group shouts his name, worried. Alec realizes that even weakened, the enemy gives no opening for a counterattack. He uses acceleration magic again, but is surprised by an attack coming from behind. Then, Alec casts a fire arrow spell to defend himself and try to create space. The enemy manages to grab Alec by the neck and lift him into the air, saying that using such a weak spell only shows that he is out of options. Alec tries to resist, but the enemy threatens him, shouting for him to die. Alec surprises the enemy with an attack called Power Shot, hitting the demon straight in the chest. He warns that one should not underestimate basic abilities. The enemy screams in pain and is in shock, not understanding how he was hit. Alec and Henrietta get ready, receiving several boosts of energy and mind. The enemy tries to react, but they give no room. Henrietta confirms that she is ready, and then, decisively, she charges, saying that this will end now, launching her judgment attack straight at the enemy. Henrietta strikes her blow, hitting the enemy with full force. The monster's body begins to crack while Alec watches beside her, surprised by the result of the attack. The scene shows the allies ready, as victory seems ever closer. Henrietta explains that the arrow was made to break the binding spell. The enemy, even injured, laughs and says that they only managed it because he hesitated after being restrained earlier. Alec realizes that they have not truly won yet, and the villain warns that this is not the end, showing that he will continue fighting. Alec is surprised and confused by something he perceives. The villain observes Alec, recognizing his eyes, hair, and even his soul, and soon understands that the situation was caused by another faction in the city. The mood grows tenser, as if the villain were about to change his stance. The villain realizes that there is still one more sealing stone. Alec and the others are surprised, since they thought all of them had been destroyed. Alec finds the stone and holds it in his hand, still trying to understand how it ended up there. The villain agrees to be sealed without resisting, since he promised to obey. Alec explains that the stone is just a prototype, and not that strong, so the seal should only last about 50 years. The villain finds it amusing and says that he hopes to meet Alec again in 50 years. Alec says they will keep feeding the seal with magical energy, so they will probably never see each other again. Alec asks Maria to use the seal. She is a little hesitant, but accepts. Then she begins the sealing ritual, while everyone watches intently. The demon stares at Alec, calls him a young yet ancient hero, and says that many challenges still await him in the future. The demon tells Alec to fight with all his strength and show his worth. Alec holds the seal firmly, determined. Maria performs the final ritual to seal the demon, wishing that the god's protection be upon everyone. The seal shines and traps the demon for good inside the magic stone. With the demon finally sealed, Alec says it's over. Maria and Henrietta hug Alec, celebrating the victory. Alec feels the squeeze and complains that her armor is hurting, but everyone is happy for having succeeded. The mood becomes much lighter after the fight. The characters start to relax. Some even celebrate, and others chat. Some people hug, relieved. A boy asks Rouge about what she had mentioned earlier with the god of light, Sururan, and she answers somewhat casually, not giving much importance. They comment on the Demon Duke's last words. One of them thinks that even monsters pray for the god's protection, but soon the group agrees that it makes no sense for a monster to worship the god of light, Sururan, thinking it was just an imitation of humans. They discuss that it would be impossible for the Demon Duke, called a demon god, to pray to anyone. In the end, one character says that the only possible god would be Slime, the god of death, who is worshipped only by the Empire. The girl looks at Alec with doubt and asks who he really island. The scene then changes, showing a new landscape, an open place with a circular structure near the sea, signaling that the story will move to another place or moment. Some people are talking in the city about the rumor of the Demon Duke's return, finding the situation frightening. One of them comments that they heard the leader of the Eye of Wisdom defeated the demon, but a woman seems uncertain about the details and says there is more to this story. A rumor about the leader of the Eye of Wisdom defeating the Demon Duke circulates through the city. Alec is sitting in an elegant room and hears that his deeds have already spread widely. Lord Julius Pendragon, leader of the Volks territory, personally thanks Alec for the help. Alec thinks that it is the first time he meets Julius face to face, 5 days after the battle against the Demon Duke. Alec's grandfather's younger brother, Watson, who is the master of the Mages Guild, appears beside Lord Julius and greets Alec after a long time. Julius thanks him again, saying that if it weren't for Alec, the city would have gone through a great calamity, and comments that Henrietta and Polka are also very grateful. Alec says he only managed it with the help of the two. Julius says he should have met Alec earlier, but he was busy and was following everything through loot. Finally, Julius comments that they need to investigate better about the tradition of the offering of magical power because they do not know when or how it was lost. Julius says he is thinking of promoting Alec to the gold rank White Wisdom and even giving a reward of 100 million gold as thanks. Alec thinks that, since that day, people stopped seeing him only as the grandson of Sage Gale and started talking about him as a hero. Thank you, Fortune. He imagines they want to use him as a symbol of the Volks territory. Julius asks if Alec wants anything else, but Alec thanks him and says that it is already great as it is, making it clear that he is satisfied. Watson even finds his humility strange. Alec says that, besides the thanks, there is something he needs to apologize for. Julius becomes serious, bows, and says that it is about the Kettle Village case, showing that it is something heavy or important. Alec asks about Kettle Village, and Julius confirms that he needs to apologize about that. He says that the attack on the village was his responsibility, leaving Alec surprised and wanting to understand the reason. Julius explains that Kettle Village is near the Kaz Empire, surrounded by a forest full of monsters, and could serve as a shortcut to the royal capital. For that reason, they made Lord Gale, who was a retired adventurer, live there to keep the empire under control. The village chief Billy and the hunter William are the same person. Alec thinks it was an exaggeration to have so much combat power in the village, but understands that there were political reasons as well. His grandfather, known as a sage and alchemist, is the village chief Billy, who is actually the hunter William, a master swordsman with the maximum level. Now, the one who administers Kettle Village is Abel Pendragon, Henrietta and Polka's older brother. Alec is surprised to discover that Abel is Polka and Henrietta's older brother and realizes that neither of them mentioned anything about succession. The Lord explains that Abel did not report Lord Gale's death. He says that, in fact, the one responsible for reporting this should have been the official sent to the village, but this official ended up being replaced without anyone noticing, and this caused all this confusion. The conversation continues in the room. Alex says that there may be someone interested in hiding Sage Gale's death, just to maintain control over the Empire. The Lord says that it cannot be ruled out that his own son hid the news to protect the country. But at the same time, he questions whether it was really necessary to report the death of someone from such a small village. The mood heats up. The Lord charges Abel, saying that he always receives the report of the number of residents in the village, and reminds him that that village is important for the country's security. Abel gets irritated, tells them not to doubt his work, and becomes quite upset. The Lord admits that, to be honest, he himself never really believed in Abel's level of skill or concern for the country. While they talk, the people comment that even Henrietta thought Abel would handle the position, but it seems he was not prepared. Then they show a giant stone falling and destroying the Demon Duke's sanctuary. Because of this, the arrival of the White Wisdom group was delayed, and they could not help the village in time. One of the characters explains that it was probably magic called Meteor Fall, used by Imperial mages. In the end, the Lord admits that, since he did not know this beforehand, he ended up allowing the village to be attacked and takes the blame. They discover that, in fact, a spy from the Empire infiltrated among them. Alec is surprised to learn this. One of the characters confirms that he heard about a trio with black hair through Henrietta, and they deduce that they are probably demon summoners coming from the Empire. They say that perhaps the group involved is called the Cerberus Special Forces. Alec is surprised to hear that name. The scene shows 3 people in a destroyed place, one of them lying on the ground. The character explains that hair color is linked to each person's magical attribute, even if this is not very well known. Brown hair, common among commoners, has the earth attribute. Blondes, usually nobles, have the light attribute. Blue represents water, red is fire, and green hair, linked to wind, appears more among elves. The boy starts thinking about people's hair colors from different regions, remembering that everyone in Mia's family had red hair, while in other villages, the colors varied. He realizes that black hair, in fact, is the symbol of nobility in the Kaz Empire, and is surprised to learn this, since before he believed that the mark of nobility was blonde hair. The narrator explains that the Empire is a cold, poor place, full of monsters, so only those who have the power to fight survive. The boy wonders if this means he is a noble born in the Empire, but remembers that his grandfather never talked about it. The older man adds that, In the past, black-haired people gradually became nobles and built the empire as it is today, and that perhaps the grandfather just didn't tell him because it was not yet the right time. The man says he plans to build a fortress in the place of Kettle Village. The boy is surprised to imagine the construction. The man explains that, since the Empire already knows about that place's existence, they cannot simply ignore the village, so building a fortress is the best option. The boy understands the situation. The meeting ends, and the boy thanks him for the day. He says that he will help with whatever is necessary and apologizes for any inconvenience. The man smiles, replies that he would be happy if he continues to get along with Henrietta, and everyone says goodbye. The final scene shows the bustling city. Alec meets Gilly on the street, and the two greet each other. Alec confirms that he made the requested purchases and thanks him. They talk about the next dungeon called the Forgotten Island, and Gilly says that he will be the lead this time, so he needs to do his best. The boy decides that he will seek the items needed to become a necromancer, something he had wanted since he arrived in this world. After hearing about the importance of hair color, he realizes that he is indeed destined to be a necromancer and becomes excited about this idea. Alec and his friend arrive in front of a busy building and notice the noise coming from there. Two boys introduce themselves, saying that they are Alec's friends, probably trying to explain their presence to the man standing with arms crossed at the entrance. A commotion happens at the entrance, and Anna tries to explain that she does not know anything, while another boy suspects that the problem is because the leader became famous. When the boss returns, he asks what happened. One of the boys introduces himself excitedly as Oshi and explains that it was just an acquaintance of the leader who showed up while he was away. Two boys ask if Alec forgot them. He becomes confused, but realizes who they are when they remind him that they left the village when he was about 6 years old. Alec finally recognizes the two, Dory and Gran, and is impressed to learn that now they are going to become adventurers in the royal capital. Alec finally recognizes the two boys as Dory and Gran, known for being the troublemakers of the village. They excitedly confirm that it is really them. Dory and Gran introduce themselves as swordsmen from Kettle Village, with Gran saying that he is now a paladin and Dory a magic swordsman. They greet everyone excitedly. Gilly is surprised because he did not recognize the two at first, since they changed a lot. Alec, curious, asks the reason they came. Dory and Gran say that they heard about Kettle Village's disappearance and came to see Alec. He explains that only he, Gilly, and Anna survived. Anna is introduced as Mia's younger sister, which surprises the two boys, as they left the village before she was born. Gran shows sympathy for Anna and offers to help if she needs it. Dory and Gran comment that, despite having left the village with no intention of returning, it is hard to receive such bad news. They are happy that Alec and the others are alive. The two remain as lively as ever and say that they will also collaborate with White Wisdom, leaving Alec surprised by the idea of cooperation. Dory and Gran ask to join Alec's clan. Gilly recognizes the two as the famous twin swords of the royal capital, known for being high-level fighters even without being part of a clan. They are praised for their coordinated fighting style, which combines magic, swordsman, and paladin, being a perfect example of teamwork in the front line and rear guard. Alec comments that Dory and Gran became famous and trained a lot since they left the village, but jokes that they are still not that popular. Gilly observes the lively mood of the two and thinks that this energy makes a difference in the group. Alec, in the end, recognizes that having two advanced class members on the front line will be a great help to the clan. Alec thinks that the two's skill is not a problem since they have grown a lot, but remembers that even in the incident with the Demon Lord, they only succeeded because other clans helped. The real challenge is their lively personality, and he wonders if all that energy will match the rest of the group. Dory and Gran explain that many clans tried to recruit them, but they never got along with anyone. They say they have known Alec and the group for a long time, so they trust him to lead. The two believe that, with Alec, they will experience interesting things and have fun just imagining it. Gilly is asked what it is like to follow Alec and confirms that, despite everyone thinking he is strict, it is certain that everything will work out with him in command. Alec notes that it is the first time he has seen Gilly be so well accepted since they left the village. He also realizes that almost no one knows their past before everything changed, and little by little he begins to understand the situation better. Alec says that before accepting them into the group, he will test the two's skills. He invites Dory and Gran to accompany them to the Forgotten Island dungeon, called the Labyrinth of the Dead. The two accept excitedly, ready for the challenge. Alec reinforces that Dory and Gran will accompany the group to the Forgotten Island dungeon, and they respond excitedly that they are in. Gilly suggests that everyone could go together, while another asks what will happen to them on this mission. Alec begins to think about how to organize the group for this new challenge. Gilly realizes that taking everyone may be difficult for Alec. He recalls the rumors about the twin swords of the capital, a level 38 paladin and a level 39 magic swordsman. Gilly warns that assembling an improvised group with people of such different levels can be dangerous. Alec agrees that it makes sense to take only 4 people to see Dory and Gran in action, including him and Gilly. Anna asks how long he will be away, and Alec assures that he will be back by the next night. Anna smiles, wishes him good luck, and promises to behave until he returns. The group takes a boat to go to the Forgotten Island. The boatman asks if they are really going there, and Alec confirms. He also asks everyone to make sure to return together at the same time. The boatman explains that the Forgotten Island is uninhabited and is close to Volks. In the past, followers of a dark god lived there, leaving behind the underground temple known as the Labyrinth of the Dead, full of undead and feared by the people. On the boat, Alec gathers the group to review the goal: defeat the dungeon boss and get the Book of the Dead, an item that allows a mage to become a necromancer. Alec explains to the group that the dungeon is a labyrinth full of mid and high-level undead. At the bottom, there is an altar protected by an elder lich, who guards the Book of the Dead. They will also encounter many liches and dullahans who have tricky abilities, and the elder liches are still immune to status. Even so, Alec says he already knows the enemy's abilities well, and believes the group will be able to deal with the monsters along the way. Alec says that if no one gets lost, they can finish the dungeon in a day. The group gets excited and determined to move forward calmly. Then, they arrive at the entrance of the labyrinth and open the door, ready to start the exploration. As soon as they enter the dungeon, the group is already attacked by a skeleton monster. Dory and Gran react quickly, charge together, and destroy the enemy with a coordinated attack, showing their strength right at the beginning of the adventure. Alec observes that Dory and Gran react quickly to enemies, showing that they are already used to this kind of situation. He notes that the two work together perfectly. Dory goes in first as a magic swordsman, while Gran, as a paladin, already begins to cast support spells to protect the group. During the fight, Dory attacks first, and Gran soon moves forward to protect him while Dory withdraws. Dory then uses magic behind his brother's defense and enchants his own weapon. Protected by Gran, he launches a sonic blade, showing the strategy and harmony of the two during the battle. Dory and Gran easily defeat the enemies, using their abilities at the right moment. Alec comments that it was quick, and the group is impressed with their synergy. Afterwards, they start talking about food in a relaxed way, while Gilly observes the group's easygoing mood. While climbing the labyrinth stairs, the group comments that Lorraine would probably be afraid of that place, which they find funny. They discuss whether just taking the Book of the Dead is enough to become a necromancer, but Gilly believes that the main thing is to defeat the Elder Lich. Dory and Gran show confidence, saying that even the boss will be easy with teamwork. Then, everyone moves on, excitedly, to the next floor. Dory and Gran keep going enthusiastically, defeating several enemies without difficulties, and the dungeon exploration goes smoothly as they had predicted. Alec observes how the two have a lot of energy and notes that the group is relaxed, with no tense atmosphere. Suddenly, Alec notices something strange when he touches a wall. The group realizes that they have already reached the lowest floor of the dungeon without finding more stairs. Alec comments that they arrived faster than he expected. They get ready and decide to open the door together to face whatever lies ahead. The group enters a room lit by torches, with an altar in the center. On the altar lies the Book of the Dead, exactly as Alec had imagined. They approach, alert to what might happen next. When the group approaches the altar to take the Book of the Dead, a powerful elder lich appears, laughing and calling them fools for having entered that place. The mood changes instantly, preparing everyone for the final battle against the dungeon's guardian. The Elder Lich appears, threatening to turn the group into sacrifices for his god. Alec and his friends get ready to fight as the Lich advances. Suddenly, the image of a spirit or entity appears beside Gran, who makes a silent prayer, leaving everyone on alert for the start of the battle. After defeating the Elder Lich, the group comments that, although it took some time, the fight was smooth and without real risks. Dory and Gran show that they are still full of energy, while Alec realizes that the two are really strong and balanced. Excited, Dory and Gran ask if they can now join the clan, and Alec accepts immediately, without objections. Alec realizes that Dory and Gran have great stamina, which is excellent for long fights against intermediate bosses, but facing high-level bosses always demands a lot from the group. Gilly reminds Alec about the true objective of the mission, the item on the altar, and Alec gets ready to take it. Alec takes the Book of the Dead and thinks that he will finally become a necromancer. He remembers that he always liked this class, even when he played Discard Chronicle. At first, it was just because of the game, but over time and because of his hair, the desire to be a necromancer only grew stronger in this new world. Alec begins to open the Book of the Dead, but suddenly hears a strange noise that catches everyone's attention. He, Gilly, Dory, and Gran are surprised, trying to understand what is happening. A new enemy appears at the door, with an even more threatening appearance than the previous one. He praises the battle that just took place, making it clear that the real challenge is yet to come for Alec and his group. The group is surprised by the appearance of the new skeletal enemy, who watches and makes comments about them, saying that the rearguard is younger than he expected. Gilly asks if that is also an undead, and Alec is in shock, unable to believe what he is seeing. The skeleton, in turn, considers starting the conversation by greeting the group. Alec realizes that this new enemy is not just any monster, but the Lord of Death, a high-level final boss, normally reserved for endgame content. He is shocked, wondering why such a creature is in an intermediate-level dungeon. The Lord of Death realizes that Alec already knows who he is, and asks to see what the group is capable of, ordering everyone to take up their weapons. Alec becomes tense, as he understands that this boss normally only appears in high-level raids, when necromancers have already reached the maximum of the class to unlock special abilities. Gilly, worried, asks what the plan will be now. Alec knows that normally it would be impossible to defeat this boss without at least 2 teams of 5 people with high-level equipment. He thinks of using a return scroll to escape, but the Lord of Death warns that he controls the entire area, making it clear that no one can flee from there until the battle ends. Alec realizes that they are trapped in the boss's field, with no chance to flee. The Lord of Death activates an ability called Curse Field, which blocks any type of healing. Alec is in shock, knowing that now they only have 2 options: defeat the boss, or be annihilated right there. Alec realizes that the Lord of Death is using abilities that he normally should not have, such as necromancy and dark magic, in addition to the curse field. The boss also demonstrates the technique of casting 3 spells at the same time, something typical of advanced mages. Alec is frightened to realize that they are facing an enemy with sorcerer powers beyond what was expected. Alec is shocked to see the Lord of Death using summoning spells that only extremely high-level demonic mages could use, ignoring even the rules of the undead. The boss asks excitedly whether he should summon a greater demon or even an archdemon, showing how abnormal and dangerous he island. Alec realizes the size of the challenge ahead. Alec interrupts the confrontation and asks the Lord of Death a question, saying that no undead should have so much knowledge or free will, regardless of level. He notes that the boss showed abilities that undead usually cannot use just to test their reactions, and the Lord of Death confirms, praising Alec's perception. Alec concludes, looking at the Lord of Death, that he is not a common undead, but a human who is reincarnated as an undead. The revelation surprises the group, making the mood even more tense and mysterious. The Lord of Death praises Alec for having reached that conclusion so young, but questions how he acquired that kind of knowledge, since it is not something natural for someone of that age. Alec wonders whether he should say that he is also reincarnated, while the Lord of Death grows curious about the answer. Alec decides to answer by saying that he learned everything from Sage Gale, his grandfather and adoptive father. The Lord of Death recognizes the name and understands the explanation. Accepting Alec's answer about how he has so much knowledge, the Lord of Death comes very close to Alec, looks him in the eyes, and says that that excuse was a tasteless lie, leaving Alec frightened by the boss's direct and threatening reaction. The Lord of Death becomes irritated and asks if Alec is mocking him by saying that he was taught by Gale. The mood becomes even tenser, with the boss starting to release a menacing energy, while Alec and the group stay on alert for what is going to happen. As the tension rises in the dungeon, the scene cuts to Anna looking out the window and noticing that it has started to rain. A maid asks if everything is all right, and Anna only comments about the rain, seeming a bit worried or thoughtful. While Anna looks out the window and wonders whether her brother's boat is all right because of the rain, the mood in the dungeon becomes increasingly tense. The Lord of Death stares at Alec and repeats angrily whether he is really saying that he was taught by Gale, making it clear that he does not believe it and feels insulted. The group prepares for the confrontation, already expecting the worst. The Lord of Death states that he never passed any knowledge of magic to Gale, and that there is no way Alec could have learned sorcery that way. Irritated, he strikes his staff on the ground, releasing a wave of energy that makes Alec and the others recoil in fright. The Lord of Death says that Gale was never the type to explain magic in a theoretical way, but rather someone who learns through practice. He states that, being Gale's disciple, Alec would have no way to learn magic that way. Surprised, Alec asks if he knows his grandfather, and the Lord of Death reveals Gale is his disciple. The group is shocked by this revelation. The Lord of Death reveals that it has been more than 50 years since Gale, his disciple, left his side. He explains that when he was human, he and Gale were raised together as war orphans, almost like brothers, under the same master. Alec realizes, shocked, that this monster was his grandfather's master when he was human. The Lord of Death confirms that he really used the secret art of reincarnation, abandoning his human body and being reborn as an undead, using techniques and knowledge from his past life. Alec is surprised, because that was not quite what he expected to hear. The boss then says that he will repeat his question to Alec, wanting to know the truth. The Lord of Death pressures Alec, asking directly how he acquired his knowledge. Alec gets nervous, not knowing how to get out of the situation and trying to think of an answer. Gilly notices the tension and asks what is happening, while the atmosphere only gets heavier. Alec realizes that his friends have fainted and asks what happened. The Lord of Death explains that they are only unconscious but warns that now it is just the two of them and tells Alec to hurry up and tell the truth. Alec thinks he overdid the conversation and fears that everyone could end up dead if he does not answer properly. Alec sees that his friends are down and thinks that, unlike the fight against the Demon Duke, this time there is no one to save them or resurrect them. With no other way out, he decides to tell the truth and reveals to the Lord of Death he was reincarnated there from another world. Alec explains that, just like the Lord of Death, he also has memories of his past life. He says that in his previous world, there was a game called Discard War Chronicles, which had cities and abilities the same as in this world. That is why Alec knows things that an ordinary person here would not know. The Lord of Death asks if Alec has already read the true Bible. Alec answers yes. The Lord of Death is surprised and begins to suspect something, asking if Alec really knows the true Bible. When Alec hesitates, the Lord of Death shows the book and realizes that perhaps Alec does not know what that really is, becoming even more intrigued. Alec is surprised when he opens the book and realizes it is written in Japanese. The Lord of Death asks him to read it aloud, since he never managed to decipher that part, even after years of research. Alec comments that the text looks like an extra ability called Heroic Spirit Summon. The Lord of Death becomes curious to know what is really written there. The Lord of Death gets excited and thanks Alec for the help, saying that this was an incredible stroke of luck. Alec looks at the book and realizes that it looks like a strategy guide, with lots of detailed information about classes and abilities, as if it were a copy of the true Bible. He is impressed by the amount of detail the book offers. Alec explains that the characters in the book are from the world he came from, and he keeps wondering why that exists there. He suggests that maybe someone like him, who was also reincarnated from another world, brought this knowledge, and it ended up becoming a sacred text. The Lord of Death has never heard of Discard Chronicles outside of that book, and compares it to the church's sacred scriptures, but Alec says he has never read the scriptures. Gilly says that he heard from companions that the Bible praises Saruran, the god of light and life, and that magic and abilities came from him. The Lord of Death counters by saying that this is a lie created by the church to hide the truth, because if only Saruran granted power, it would not make sense for monsters aligned with darkness to be able to use abilities. Alec then asks if the true Bible would be the true scripture. The Lord of Death says that if you rush to conclusions, the truth can be lost. He thinks about where to start the explanation, while Alec apologizes and says that the Lord of Death was like a master to his grandfather. The Lord of Death comments that each one exists for different reasons, and Alec remembers that he has not felt something like this since his grandfather died and Master Lily disappeared. Alec realizes that the true Bible does not give praise, nor have ideology. It is just a pure record about classes, magic, and abilities. The Lord of Death explains that the church's book serves to exalt Saruran and strengthen the institution, while the true Bible serves only to preserve knowledge. Alec understands the point and asks where the original is, since the book in hand is just a copy. The Lord of Death explains that no one knows where the original true Bible is or how it was passed on to humans, but says that there are several copies of this book scattered around. He says that each royal family of each country has a copy, and most of the content of these copies is the same, except that about 10% changes. Alec asks how he knows the book is a copy if the original is unknown, but it is because of these differences between the versions. The Lord of Death explains that each country only has complete information about certain classes. For example, in the Kaz Empire there are the Mage classes, in the Pendragon Kingdom, the Swordsman and Guardian ones, in the Atlantis Kingdom, the Sea-related classes, in the Sacred Kingdom, the Priest and Sage ones, and in the Wyvern Kingdom, the Beast Tamer ones. He also comments that it seems this was done on purpose, implying that there is someone behind this division of information. Alec thinks out loud, saying that even if there are professions more suitable for each land, it would still be logical to include information about the other classes. The Lord of Death says that the reason for these differences between nations is unknown, only the gods would know. He also comments that battle strategies end up changing from country to country because of this. Alec adds that, if this is intentional, by limiting the distribution of classes, it completely changes the way battles are fought. The Lord of Death asks if Alec is talking about wars between nations, but Alec replies that he was just thinking that this could be possible. The Lord of Death says he had never thought of that, but finds it a unique perspective. He comments that, if the god who granted the knowledge wanted people to fight, these divisions make sense. Alec realizes that, thinking that way, several things really start to make sense. The Lord of Death also says that, if you read the text with that idea in mind, you can see things from a different angle, and that there are always people who can fill these gaps in knowledge. Alec becomes desperate, seeing his friends down, and asks the Lord of Death to guarantee their lives before anything else. He says he is willing to cooperate in the Lord of Death's research, but wants everyone to survive. The Lord of Death agrees to the request, accepting to negotiate. The Lord of Death hands Alec a teleport ring, explaining that with it, it is possible to go straight from the entrance to the deepest part of the dungeon. The Lord says that Alec needs to visit that place at least once a month, and if he breaks this promise, he will cast an unknown magic on him. The two wake up somewhat confused, seeing the Lord of Death right in front of them. Alec explains that somehow they ended up cooperating together. The friends are shocked to discover that the Lord of Death was a human in the past. The two joke that if they became monsters, they could also live forever. They ask the Lord of Death's name, since it is strange to talk without knowing that. He reveals his name, Gall Black, a name that was already lost to history. The Lord of Death says that, from now on, the only job that matters is changing Alec's job to necromancer. He is not interested in seeing an ordinary human change class, but someone from another world. Alec becomes thoughtful, while his friend asks if he is really going to do that. He answers yes, and they get ready to begin. Alec prepares himself, opens the book in front of everyone, and says that he is going to begin. As soon as he looks at the pages, he realizes that the text is not in Japanese, becoming surprised as a strange energy begins to envelop the book. Alec starts reading the book and feels all the content about necromancy enter his mind easily. He realizes that if he follows the instructions, he would be able to summon the dead. Then, out of nowhere, a message appears saying that he has mastered the necromancer class and can now use the unique ability Communion with the Dead, leaving Alec surprised by the notification. Alec feels something different after becoming a necromancer, as if a voice were speaking directly into his head, activating a passive ability. Gilly cannot hear anything and becomes confused. Alec realizes that this voice seems the same as the one he used to hear when he was little, a voice that taught him many things. After a while, the voice stopped speaking, probably because he started asking fewer questions. But now it has come back in full force, because of the new class. Alec discovers that the Communion with the Dead ability allows him to see spirits and understand what they are trying to say, and the higher the level of this ability, the greater the range to communicate. He realizes that sometimes he had already seen things like Kunimori before, but now this has become stronger. To level up this skill, he needs to increase the Necromancer level, because the ability rises together with the class. However, to truly evolve Communion with the Dead, there are various difficult conditions, so it will not be something simple to unlock. Alec finishes learning about the unique skill, understanding that the goal is to evolve it, to unleash its full potential. After that, Gall wishes him good luck in the upcoming battles. Alec confirms that he managed to master the ability without problems and asks if the process is already over. Alec finishes the ritual, and the others congratulate him. The group asks what they should do now, and Alec wants to know when the next time they will meet Gall will be. But he notices something strange, and Gall notices that Alec became pensive, asking if something happened. Alec starts acting strange, making his friend worried. She asks what he is seeing, but Alec seems to be in shock, not responding. Meanwhile, a mysterious hand appears, indicating that something is about to happen. The spirit of a girl named Mia appears, full of visible injuries, standing in front of the group. The Lord of Death, surprised, calls her name, making it clear that he recognized the girl. Mia's spirit appears, leaving everyone surprised. Alec is shocked to see her and can only ask if that is real, while Mia also looks at him without quite understanding what is happening. Mia, desperate, asks to hear Alec's voice, even if it is a scolding or anything. Alec approaches and touches her, surprised to be able to feel something. Meanwhile, outside, they ask Alec what he is seeing, trying to understand the situation. Alec sees Mia right there in front of them and realizes that she is trying to say something. He becomes desperate because, even feeling that it is important, she cannot say anything. In the end, he becomes frustrated and says that he does not understand what she is trying to convey, while the others can only watch and remain confused by the scene. The people realize that Alec can see Mia's soul, something very rare. The Lord Lich becomes curious and asks if Alec can summon her soul using necromancy, bringing Mia back as a kind of undead. Alec is shocked by the idea, wondering if he would really have the courage to do that. Alec keeps staring at Mia's soul, clearly shaken by the situation. The Lord Lich speaks bluntly. He asks if he wants to know what she is trying to say, and emphasizes that this is precisely the purpose of necromancy, bringing back those who are gone to understand unspoken feelings. Alec becomes thoughtful. Torn between the fear and curiosity of using his new power for that, Alec takes a deep breath, says he will try, and begins to concentrate, with everyone watching in silence. He performs the summon skeleton spell, and Mia's soul begins to react to the ritual. Everyone is filled with expectation, watching from afar as Alec musters the courage to use his necromancy for the first time. The summoning works, and Mia's skeleton appears, but with traits that still resemble who she was. Everyone is shocked, especially Alec and the rest of the group, trying to understand if that is really Mia. The Lord of Death comments that normally the spell would summon 5 skeletons, but in this case it was different, showing that Mia's situation is very special. Alec tries to communicate with Mia after summoning her, but she does not respond and only stands still. He keeps trying, but realizes he cannot make contact. In the end, he cancels the summoning and gives up, acknowledging that it was a failed attempt. The group watches the scene in silence, feeling the weight of the moment. The Lord of Death explains that necromancy forces souls to obey the caster, and even special souls cannot escape this control. Alec comments that he thought that maybe, by giving form to the soul, he could communicate, but realizes that it was not enough. He reveals that the ability Communion with the Dead allows him to see and feel spirits, and believes he managed to see Mia because that power was amplified when he became a necromancer. Alec says that maybe he can improve if he increases his level. The Lord of Death says he has never heard of that ability, but finds it interesting to test it, since it may be something unique to Alec. Alec then asks if he will help with that. The Lord of Death confirms that he will help, saying that this is all an experiment. He tells Alec to level up as a necromancer and try using communion with the dead again. Alec's friends decide to help as well. They say they cannot let him deal with everything alone, and that maybe, if he levels up, they will be able to talk to Mia. Alec thanks them, and the Lord of Death says that now all 4 of them will take part. The group reaches the top of the dungeon and confirms with the Lord of Death that the goal is to conquer the labyrinth of the dead again, but he warns that he placed even stronger enemies. Alec realizes that if they go down to the bottom and climb back up, it will be perfect to level up. Mia appears to him, and he asks her to wait just a little longer. The group is surprised by skeleton generals blocking the path. Alec realizes that they are skeleton generals, and, without wasting time, begins to summon a skeleton knight to help in the battle. Alec comments about the Blessing of Death, explaining that the recovered staff doubles the number of skeleton-type summons, but only works for that type. He orders the skeleton knight to advance, knowing that the blessing will increase the power of his undead, which is essential to defeat the generals. The skeleton generals fight each other fiercely, one of them even breaking the other's weapon. Alec watches the battle and notices that, despite the brutal style, it is like an adventurer's combat. His allies notice that the number of skeleton enemies is very large and are starting to feel the weight of the fight. Alec organizes the group and asks Gilly to reduce the number of enemies, while Dory and Gran are responsible for dealing with the skeletons that are left behind. They split up to carry out the orders. Alec notices that his necromancy level has increased and decides to test a new ability. The group faces several enemies along the way, each fulfilling their role. Alec, seeing a chance to try something new, uses his magic to summon a spirit, saying, "Summon, ghost." The image shows Mia's figure starting to materialize as a ghost. The group notices that Mia's ghostly form appeared, but they cannot see her face. Alec tries to communicate, asking if Mia can move, but she remains motionless. They keep moving through the place, already exhausted and finding everything difficult, while Alec watches worried that Mia still does not respond. The group stops for a moment to talk. One of them suggests taking a break, since they have not reached the end yet, and comments that Gaul will stay with them until everything is over. As it is probably already midnight outside, they decide to eat and rest a little before moving on. Alec accepts the idea, and everyone sits on the floor to eat, trying to relax a little after so much effort. Alec becomes thoughtful, looking at Mia and wondering what she wants to tell him. He feels that it is something important and senses a certain urgency, as if they need to hurry to discover her message. The scene ends with a tense atmosphere and heavy rain falling outside. 2 girls are sitting, worried, talking about how much time has passed. One of them comments that it has already been 7 days since they separated, and remembers that they have never been apart for so long since leaving the village. The other girl comments that she heard that the group would return in about 2 days, but the mood is one of worry in case something has happened. One of the girls tries to cheer the other up, saying that everything will be fine, that the leader is strong and nothing bad will happen, and maybe they are just delayed because of the rain. The other agrees half-heartedly and remembers that the vice leader is also with them. Despite this, everyone at the table is clearly anxious, and the girl notices that Lorraine is trying to hide her worry. Anna is startled by the sound of the door, but soon sees her brother entering in a hurry. He calls for her, and everyone celebrates his return. Anna asks if everyone came back safely, and, upon hearing yes, she becomes super relieved and runs to him happily. Anna runs down the hallway, overjoyed to finally see her brother coming home. She shouts, calling for him, but when he enters together with the group, they are all visibly exhausted and full of injuries, showing that they went through very difficult moments. Anna notices that her brother and the group are really very worn out. She stops in the hallway, worried, while one of the adventurers even collapses from exhaustion as soon as they enter the house. The atmosphere changes and worry takes over her. Anna runs to Alec, who arrives home visibly tired. He says that he is back but avoids explaining what happened. Anna notices that he is acting strange, asks if he is okay, and comments that he looks scared. Alec just replies that it is nothing and says that as soon as they restock supplies, they will leave again. Anna grabs Alec's cloak, crying, says that she wants to go with him, and asks to be taken to the labyrinth of the dead as well. Alec stops and looks at her, surprised by the request. Alec looks at Anna with a sad smile and tells her not to be selfish. Alec says that they do not have time for that now and asks Anna to understand. He praises Anna, saying that she is a good girl, and walks down the hallway while she stays standing and watching. Anna stands in the hallway surrounded by darkness, while Alec walks away, leaving only the trace of his footsteps on the floor. She looks lonely and worried.